happy holiday. Merry Christmas. Yeah. Oh, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy holiday. Ooh, yeah.
Pack it up. Pack it in. Let me begin. On this Wednesday, December 23rd, 2020, everybody, welcome into another lengthy MI6 Sports Network multi-hour special. That, of course, everybody, is our 2020 Christmas and holiday special coming away across the good old US of A on this Wednesday evening, December 23rd, 2020, in place of Wild Sports Talk on this Wednesday night. As usual, folks, joined by a plinthroll of MI6 family members tonight: Jonathan Mathis, Isaiah Leung, Trevor Williams, Martin Garcia, and John Alcorn. Yours truly, Cal Miller, joining tonight here from the home studios in San Diego. Mr. Mathis, a very happy Merry Christmas and holiday season to you and the family. And how's everything going on this Wednesday? Good, sir. Good to see you.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Things are going great. You know, it's close to that time where our daughter's going to be coming into this world, so we're very excited for that. And you know, we're excited for Christmas in a couple of days. You know, Christmas only comes once a year, and it's always been a family tradition for me and my folks, and we're looking forward to another holiday together. How's everyone doing tonight?
Everyone else is doing great, John. Thanks for asking. Of course, the other person wearing an ugly sweater, minus me, is Isaiah Leung from the home studios in Fremont, California. Isaiah already laid out his Christmas buffet for the program here on this Wednesday. But Isaiah, happy early holidays, and of course, a happy or Merry Christmas to you as well, my friend. Good to see you. How are things going in the Bay Area on this Wednesday?
Merry Christmas to all of you guys. It is great to see y'all once again. Before I actually get started, John Alcorn, Callan, great job yesterday holding down the fort for me while I was gone on the night shift. You guys did a great job. Got to give props to y'all. But yeah, Callan, like Callan mentioned, I got a full-fledged buffet out here. We got all these Christmas cookies right here. We've got a pack of candy canes. We've got an apple fritter. And last but not least, we've got a cinnamon roll. So all of this right here, a lot of good stuff here. And I get to talk sports with my best friends out there, and also, open Secret Santa gifts, and just talk about Christmas and just enjoy the Christmas. It's going to be a tremendous Christmas special. I am looking forward to it. Let's get this party started, man.
Let's get it rolling. Of course, saying hello as well to Trevor Williams, joining us from his home in Pennsylvania. Of course, he's away from the Ohio State University for the holiday season. But Trev, good to see you, man. And of course, happy holiday greetings to you and the family. How are things going tonight?
Pretty good. You know, we still got snow on the ground from our last snowstorm. So maybe fingers crossed that doesn't melt so I can still have a white Christmas. But, you know, it's all up to the weather. If we have enough warm days, that snow will be melted away. But if it doesn't, you know, we get a nice, somewhat of a white Christmas on, you know, December 25th. But, you know, this is Merry Christmas Eve. So, you know, we got that going in for us. So I'm glad to be on the show. Can't wait to see what some fun things we talk about tonight.
Plenty of great stuff is on the table, but also want to welcome in one of the rare MI6 hosts who does, in fact, make some spattering of appearances. That is, of course, our good friend Martin Garcia from Fresno, California. Of course, Martin is responsible for our website being online over at MI6 sports.wix.com/MI6 Sports. That's a mouthful of a website, but it is what it is. But Martin, of course, man, good to at least hear from you, man. And of course, happy holiday greetings to the family. How are things going up there in the Central Valley?
Did we just get ghosted?
Apparently so, and it doesn't surprise anybody. And also, our good man, John Alcorn, also joining us from deep in the heart of Texas with the great name on the great name here tonight on this program. Mr. Alcorn, of course, happy holidays to you and the family. How's things going tonight?
Well, as you can tell, they're pretty good. But really, in all honesty, this is a lot of fun to do. Didn't matter what time it is. Like I said, last night we were up to 3 a.m. But Isaiah, did you get banned from the McDonald's or the Walmart like you did Target? Oh, sorry. No, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to talk about certain players, and you know how I like to put my foot down like a mother does when their kid does not do their homework.
And of course, folks, as a reminder, this will be a multi-hour event, much like any of our other holiday festivities have been for Christmas or for Thanksgiving and Halloween. Of course, we'll be doing our best to hang out here for about an hour and a half, 2 hours at tops, and talk all things sports, but also share some insight, though, about the holiday. And again, some of us, though, do in fact, though, have secret Santa gifts already in our mailboxes that we have either already opened because of whatever the case may be, or they have already arrived, and we'll be hopefully be able to open some of those for you folks live on air, plus also share some other insights to what our families do over the course of Christmas, but also as well, we'll also be having a very special segment as well, folks, of bloopers of the week as well today on this program, and also we'll have a parting toast to the network family before this program does in fact end. How about the folks? We have one very big important piece of business still up to do, though, folks, on the MI6 Sports Network for today, and that is another edition of the 31 Days of Hot Takes Challenge being done over on Facebook.com/MI6 Sports. You are voting for Trevor and the Captain Kirk hat against Isaiah and his very, very infamous COVID and Major League Baseball outbreak rant back in July. Again, folks, vote over on Facebook.com/MI6 Sports. We'll have the results at the very end of our program as we, folks, will move into the second to final round of our challenge starting tomorrow back here on the MI6 Sports Network. But with that, though, as a quick update, with us being off the air tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all those polls will be done via Twitter at MI6 Sports. But again, cast those votes tonight, folks, at Facebook.com/MI6 Sports. With that, though, guys, the first big hurdle to jump over for the NBA should not be surprised, though, guys. But tonight, on this Wednesday, marks the first COVID-related NBA game to be postponed just on the second night of the NBA regular season. The game, though, guys, involves the Thunder and the Houston Rockets on this Wednesday. Now, there's a lot, guys, funneling in, though, about the Rockets mainly telling three of their main players, including James Harden, to stay home because of a positive COVID-19 test among the ball club. So, Trevor, we'll start with you, though, man. And Trev, I think it kind of sucks, though, man, that we go from having the first game of the season be played, but now, though, man, into day number 2, where everybody basically kicks off their season. We already are dealing with the first postponed NBA game, though, but I think there was a lot of information, though, still coming in, though, to various sources, though, about what actually has gone on. ESPN reported today that both John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins were told to stay home because of the positive test that was done. James Harden's become under a lot of scrutiny, though, from both the Rockets and the NBA front office. Trevor, kind of a damper, I think, to kind of get the season started, though, is after we have one day of games. Now, though, Trev, we have the first postponement literally 24 hours later. Trevor, your thoughts on the whole issue surrounding the Rockets right now with their COVID issues already this early in the season?
I think the Rockets will eventually be okay, but I think as time goes on, since the NBA has a longer season, missing one game is not going to make or break most of these, teams' season. When if you look at like college football or the NFL, one game can basically eliminate you from the, potential playoff spot. So like college football, people were upset that Ohio State got into the college football playoffs with only playing 6 games, and you leave out, an 8-win A&M team because of that. So there's a lot of uproar in that, but I think since it's a longer season, people are not going to get upset about, a team missing one game. So I think we're going to be able to get through it, but at the same time, I think there's going to be more games where it's going to get cancellation due to the coronavirus cases increasing as we are speaking at this point in time.
Mr. Mathis, this is where, though, man, that the NBA and also the NHL, in my mind, have safety nets in place, though, because they have enough time, though, to make up a game that is postponed again. Not like Major League Baseball or even the NFL or even college football, but that there's a safety net, though, in my mind, for both the NBA and also pro hockey, because you don't have as many games being played during the course of a week, where you have a lot of time, though, to make those games up maybe a month later, 2 months later. Where again, you're not confined to a strict number of weeks like the NFL season or college football. Mathis, give us your thoughts here, man, about the first NBA game being postponed, though, but also that there at least, though, is some leeway, though, and some leverage for the NBA, though, to use a different day, though, not have to worry about cramming in all the games into a very short amount of time due to, again, the nature of their season.
Well, you know what, Callan, we should have seen this coming. There's really no other way around it. I mean, in the world we live in now, this is the new reality. You know, you're going to have players testing positive. You're going to have COVID cases. You're going to have players getting infected. That's just the way it's going to be for now. So, you know, the players have to live with it. And I don't really think there's another way to go about it because, look, you're not in a bubble environment anymore. You're traveling. I mean, you're playing home games. You're playing road games. And by traveling a lot, you can easily be exposed to the virus. So, I mean, there's really no safety net. There's really no way to protect these players at this point. You know, they're just going to have to go on with the season. But I'm like Trevor, 1 or 2 games, it's not going to really hurt you. You know, you can miss a few games and you can still qualify for the playoffs. No big deal. It's not like college football or the NFL, 1 game and your season can be over. The NBA is different because they play a significant amount of games. They play more games. So that is not such a big deal. What's more concerning to me is the health of the players. You know, we're seeing people die left and right because of this virus. It's obviously a deadly disease, and you can easily contract this virus because of the level of contagion. So that's more concerning than anything else. But the NBA is not going to have a perfect. They're not going to have a perfect run this time because they're not in the bubble anymore. When they were in the bubble environment, no player tested positive. Now you're going to see more players testing positive because they're not in a bubble. And the NBA didn't want to go back to the bubble environment because every team is playing again. And, you know, there's really just no other way around it.
Martin, if we have you, buddy, I would agree, though, that John Mappis is onto a great point, though, that there's no escape, though, that no pro league is going to be immune to this. And I know that it's mainly because that teams are trying to play these games, though, in their home arenas. Maybe some capacity, very little capacity, no capacity, as we have seen, though, with some of these games being played in Boston, in Los Angeles. I believe I heard from a colleague of mine who works for the Cavaliers. They had 300 people at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse for their home opener versus Charlotte tonight. Martin, give us your thoughts, though, more so about the first COVID outbreak, though, and that I think that Mathis is onto a great point, though, that the NBA probably knew, though, that they weren't going to be immune, though, from having a team have some type of an outbreak, though, over the course of this entire season. So apparently still some tech problems for Mr. Garcia. We'll hopefully get those resolved, folks. Again, as we probably know, though, very well, MI6 Sports Network is the proud home of technical difficulties. John Alcorn, over to you, though, man, as mentioned, the Rockets home game versus Oklahoma City postponed tonight, folks, due to a positive test within the Rockets organization. Some spattering of rumors, though, involving John Wall and perhaps maybe DeMarcus Cousins were told to not come to the game. And there may be some reports, though, of James Harden facing some discipline due to the nature of maybe his antics, though, away from the team, though, that has led to perhaps a positive test within the organization. John, as if it could not be one bad thing for the Rockets, as mentioned with that James Harden issue, you know, kind of on and off the floor now. Now, of course, the Rockets become the first team to suffer a COVID outbreak, again, on the second full day of the season being in operation. With that in mind, John Alcorn, any thoughts there to pass along about the Rockets and Thunder first NBA game to be postponed due to COVID-19 issues?
The Houston Rockets didn't need anything else. They already have the drama with James Harden potentially going to a crowded at-home party or whatever that situation is. Obviously, like John says, we can all agree, the NBA, it's not like magically, oh my gosh, we're not going to get any COVID cases. not saying the NBA wasn't prepared, but at least have some type of plan. Obviously, you're not going to do the bubble entirely again because a lot of fans or a lot of teams aren't going to have fans, and trying to get all of them together for a 72 game season, is simply just not going to work. Houston already has so much drama. James Harden, his stock is going down, and completely less and less teams are going to want him because maybe they're not being able to play as many games in a certain amount of time due to the tested positive of COVID-19 for certain NBA players. This is not a surprise. This is what's going to happen. They just have to do what they can. I'm not saying there's a win-win or lose-lose situation here, but you knew transporting on a plane or traveling however you're going to whatever arena, this was gonna happen. Thankfully, this is not going to be where they cancel a game. Hopefully, they don't do it to a certain extent like the NFL did, where my Denver Broncos didn't get a single bye, or a team had to play 3 games in 12 days, or an NBA team had to play like 4 games in 5 days. Hopefully we don't have that type of situation in the NBA. Yes, I believe the Lakers are in front to win the championship next year, but it could be a little bit more steps in the row, not because they lack talent, but because when you're traveling, there's chances of getting risk or the risk of getting COVID-19. You just really don't know what can happen. It's not like a planned drone. You just don't know what's going to happen at any time.
Isaiah, if anyone on this panel knows about COVID-19 affecting, schedules, it's obviously me, with me being a part of college basketball and kind of seeing how that has had its impact on college basketball games and sporting events for that matter, of where you find out, day before the game, day of the game, or at a day, or in my case, recently we had a doubleheader scheduled for both women's basketball and men's basketball at USD. The women's game went off without a hitch, though, but the men's game was canceled right as the women's game had ended because of a positive COVID test among the opposing school. Now, it's been mainly, sadly, positive tests among the opposing school, but also our men's team has had 2 separate positive COVID tests that have resulted in 2 different 2-week shutdowns for the program. But obviously, Isaiah, there's more time, though, I think, in the NBA than maybe even college basketball to make up games because, as we know well, guys, you have that lengthy, conference schedule that you have to play basically coming up in about a week or so, and there's no time to really make up those games that don't count towards the conference record. But Isaiah, overall thoughts on the first NBA game being postponed due to COVID literally one day after opening night just 24 hours ago?
Well, I think I got to agree with my colleagues here on the panel in saying that this was inevitable. When the NBA first announced that they were going to have a 72-game schedule or a 72-game season where they would have teams going back and forth from the West Coast to the East Coast and vice versa, I was like, that is a terrible idea because you're having teams travel a lot from West Coast to East Coast and East Coast to West Coast, or traveling from West Coast to the Central time zone, and you're just exposing your players to potentially getting this virus even more than if you were to keep it West Coast to West Coast, and East Coast teams play the East Coast teams only. But like John said, this is our new normal now. You shouldn't be surprised if there's any postponed games. There's going to be postponed games as long as this COVID-19 virus is still around, and we just got to learn to live with it. So this is our new normal. This is our new reality here in 2020.
And even if you and I wanted to add something else. Even if you did have a plan or a protocol in place, you're still going to have games that's going to be forced to be postponed because this virus doesn't discriminate, and anyone can contract the virus at any time. I mean, you could be anywhere and someone next to you possibly might have it and you don't even know. So I mean, there's this was bound to happen, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't want to wish this, but I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if there's a serious outbreak. I just wouldn't, because that's what we've seen in every sport so far this year. There's just no, like I said, there's just no way around it. and you just have to go with, you know, you just have to go day by day and hope that this doesn't turn into something serious, because you know what, this is a life or death situation, and it continues to get worse. We see it in the news, we hear about it all the time, how this virus is not getting any better. You seeing a rise in cases at an alarming rate, and it's terrifying. And these players are just putting their lives on the line. Not only their bodies, but their health. And it's really unusual times right now, and it's something that these players have to adapt to. They were able to adjust to the bubble lifestyle, and now they have to adjust to a new lifestyle by playing amid a pandemic. That's just the way it is, guys.
Martin, will try this again, my friend. Once more, everybody, but the Rockets and Thunder, the first game to succumb to COVID-19 issues per reports gathered today on ESPN.com. I just pulled up the article, fellas, but the reasons for the reason for the game being postponed was the Rockets were with were without a required number of players. They had fewer than 8 to play the game per reports gathered. We'll have more about that in just a moment, because we did in fact have some discipline issued out to James Harden for this reasoning. But Martin, any thoughts here about seeing the first NBA game to be postponed due to, again, a COVID outbreak amongst an organization, again, literally 24 hours after opening night?
It's no big surprise, honestly. I mean, we knew it was going to happen. Maybe not the first game of the season for the Rockets, but we knew it was going to happen eventually. It's a shame, but it's going to happen, man. I mean, the bubble was a success, and now we don't use it anymore. So we just have to deal with the results. The COVID outbreak is still a thing. It's still going hard as ever. The vaccines are near, but they're not here yet. So it's just a factor that all players, staff, and even media has to deal with. COVID's going to be there. Fortunately for them, it's a 72-game season. So you have more room to make some different dates for games, or you could just straight up cancel games, and it wouldn't make an impact like they said with the NFL or college. These are 16-game or 8-game seasons, and it's like one game makes a big difference. And the NBA 72 games, if you play 71 or 70, it probably won't make that big of a difference. And worst comes to worst, you could always just schedule a game at the end of the season if you need to make a tiebreaker, and that'll be that. So I think it's just a fact that we all knew it was going to happen. It's unfortunate it happened already, but the league knows it's the first of many postponed games, most likely, unfortunately.
And I would also think as well, fellas, that if there's a game more so like Oklahoma City and Houston, where it is a divisional game between those two organizations, that game would have to be played regardless, because if you have those teams maybe in a hunt for a playoff spot, perhaps you would probably have to play that game to break ties or stuff of that caliber and of that nature. A couple of thoughts, but mainly one thought from shareable Stephen Wang behind the scenes. He says it was bound to happen where a game would in fact be postponed due to, again, the nature of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Now, folks, some more insight, though, about this story here, courtesy of ESPN.com and from Woj. But again, the Rockets and Thunder game on Wednesday was postponed, as Houston did not have the league-required 8 available players needed to proceed with the contest per a league announcement. The NBA said that 3 Rocket players had returned tests that were either positive or inconclusive for the COVID-19 illness under the NBA's testing program. In addition, 4 other players are quarantined under the contact tracing protocol, and also Chris Clemens, due to a ruptured Achilles, was unavailable to play due to injury. Also, guys, this comes on the heels, though, another announcement made within the last several hours, though, too. But James Harden was fined $50,000 by the Rockets and was also ruled to be unavailable due to a protocol violation, part of the very beefed up NBA measures to combat COVID-19. But per Tim McMahon, fellows of ESPN.com, Tim writes that Rocket star James Harden was fined $50,000 in the league front office and ruled unavailable for Wednesday's game due to a violation of the NBA's COVID-19 protocols after the league reviewed video of him socializing maskless at a club earlier in the week, though Harden right now will not face a suspension at this rate. Now, Trevor, that is probably the one saving grace about the NBA season right now, my friend, is there are harsher penalties and punishment in place as opposed to the NFL or even Major League Baseball, where you're looking at fines, suspensions, the franchise could be docked draft picks, or they could even be pressured to forfeiting a game if it gets that far out of control. So Trevor already this may hopefully, I would hope though, kind of tell guys, hey, you screw up, you're caught, you're going to be facing some big-time punishment. But also, Trevor, sadly, for Rockets fans, this is the last possible thing this organization needs to see happen right here and right now, is seeing James Harden, who, of course, we know he wants out, though. But these off-the-court antics, the press conference antics, they're killing his trade value in my mind. I read a comment from someone on Facebook today that said that Harden's punishment should be that he is dealt to the Knicks or the Sacramento Kings because of how disgruntled he's been, and don't fulfill his wish of going to a contender. Send him to like the worst team in the NBA last season. But Trevor, though, in all seriousness, though, my friend, your overall thoughts and stance, though, about the Rockets, but also as well, James Harden popped $50,000 for a video of him servicing of him being maskless at a club over the past couple of days, and again, as part of the resulting, as well as in the Rockets having to cancel that game or postpone that game with OKC on Wednesday.
I think before I get started, I think Isaiah's going to have a perfect rant. He may throw Romeo and Juliet back in this one. But before that, I think the fine should be a little bit more hefty. I understand, the first-time offense, you can be a little bit lenient on it, but at the same time, you're in a pandemic. This virus is contagious, and you can get your entire team, and you could literally miss 2 weeks of playing basketball. Just imagine 14 games just gone in a span of like 2 weeks. I know they don't play every day, but it's just like you have probably potential of like losing 10 games in 2 weeks, and it's going to be hard to make up those games. So I think the NBA should put a little bit more of a fine or a restriction on James Harden, maybe make him miss 2 games or 3 games, depending on how severe they want to make this punishment to set a standard in the league. But at the same time, you can't be lenient when you're in a pandemic scenario like this.
Mathis, I do think that the NBA has set the standard. I think the NHL will follow the standard too, as we'll talk about the NHL a little bit, fellas, later in the show, though, because their schedule just came out for their abbreviated season as well. But Mathis, the NBA, though, I think for the past several years has kind of in a way been the forefront and the leader for protecting their players, whether it's on the floor, off the floor, hearing their voices in regards to what we had seen in the bubble environment during the social injustice protests and the boycotts of games and stuff of that caliber, but also about how Adam Silver has handled business with, Donald Sterling's handling of the Clippers organization, to now, though, more so very strict and stringent protocols where if you're caught in any capacity not following guidelines, you are going to be suspended. And I think that baseball should be taking notes, football should have taken notes, and other sports leagues could have taken notes about this entire situation. But John, Mathis, your reaction, though, to both the news of Harden, but also the very strict punishment already dished out by the NBA, where also, Mathis, a team may have to forfeit games if, in fact, that more and more rules are broken as the season does, in fact, go on.
First, to get back to Trevor real quick, James Harden doesn't care about them 14 games. He doesn't care. He's disgruntled. He's unhappy. He doesn't want to be there. So he doesn't care if they have to somehow make up games. That's the least thing on his mind. He doesn't care. But to get to your point, Callan, look, I think Adam Silver has done a terrific job in the way he has handled this entire pandemic. It shows the man's character. It shows how he, operates, and he's done a terrific job. I have to give him a round of applause for how he has, operated this association of his. He's a true professional. I mean, what more can we really say about Adam Silver? I can't stress it enough that he understands the seriousness of this and that he's not going to tolerate these players putting other players' lives at risk because they don't make the right decisions when they're away from the court. You know, you have to hold these guys accountable for their actions if they don't abide by the rules. And these rules are simple. That's why they're there. You know, it's to keep everybody safe. But when you have players who are reckless and players who don't take it seriously, they're going to get in trouble most likely because they're not going to abide by those rules. And the commissioner has to use these players by example, you know, to set the standard and let them know that none of this is going to be allowed. You know, if you guys are not going to, you know, follow these simple instructions. I'm sorry. If you're not going to follow what's in place, then you know what? You might have to forfeit the season. Are you going to get hit with a hefty fine? I don't think now's the time to be lenient like the NFL has, and that's mostly because of Roger Goodell. We all know how incompetent he is, and you know that he does not all the time hold his players accountable. Well, Adam Silver does, and I think this is something for all the rest of the leagues to kind of look at and say, you know what, maybe we should do it this way as well, and maybe if we do it this way, we'll have more control of our players and we'll be able to finally send a message to them. So, you know, this stuff can kind of, you know, stop because if you don't regulate it, then you're going to have problems moving forward.
Alcorn, I'm going to draw a parallel here real quick to a similar story that we'll talk about in our NFL segment here as we get ready for Week 16 of the NFL season coming up on Christmas Day with the Saints and Vikings playing on Friday. Is here we have the NFL. On this side, we have the NFL. Dwayne Haskins Jr. fined $40,000, stripped of his captain's role with the Washington football team because of his antics with the strip club in Seattle. And again, he's fined by the organization, but no league action is taken. We come across the line to the NBA where James Harden, NBA superstar, longtime player for the Rockets, is seen without a mask socializing at a nightclub. He's popped $50,000. His team has their game postponed. And even further as well, though, Alcorn, if this stuff continues, you're probably looking at, though, the Rockets having to forfeit a game if this trend continues with this organization. But also, though, John, the only thing that's in the Venn diagram that's equal, both these guys are disgruntled who want out of their markets. That's the only common bond they have, though. And they've also been popped a combined $90,000 in fines. Alcorn, any takeaways, though, from Harden and his further off-the-court antics, though? And when is, but more so, Alcorn, is this perhaps, though, soon to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, though, for Harden's time in Houston? Yes or no?
Wait. Let's say even COVID didn't exist, the drama would get even worse and worse and worse. Let's say the mask, okay, fine. Is that as big of a deal? That's up for question. But you're at a nightclub with heck knows how many people are there. They guarantee most of them were not social distancing in any way, shape, or form. So even if you were wearing the mask, but you're on social distancing, it's kind of like the rules here and the rules here, but you're not following both rules at all. So does it really make any sense? I understand James Harden wants out. It just shows that when you're acting like this with the organization, this is not just how you are as a player, how you are as a person. How do you handle other situations off the court? Because if you don't want to be there and you don't like it, ladies and gentlemen, we've been with jobs or organizations we don't want to be at. But we don't see us throwing toddler tantrums and temper tantrums. You can keep doing all this and risking games that's going to hurt his trade value, or AKA how many teams actually want him as a basketball player. We know what he can do as a scorer. We know sometimes he doesn't show up. Like I say, his Wi-Fi doesn't sometimes. But if you look at the Houston Rockets, it's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse. COVID or not. But James Harden, the way you're acting, dude, the way you're saying you don't care if they lose 10 games, basically saying you don't care about your teammates as people, you don't care about the organization as people, you don't care about them at all. Because whether you want to be there or not, you need to show up. Because $50,000, bro, he rejected a $50 million per year contract. 50,000 to us would be like $5, $1. It just doesn't really do anything. As much as I've been critical about the NFL or maybe not being the biggest fan of the NBA like other people, I will admit Adam Silver is my favorite, or of all the other, the best commissioner of all the sports, NBA, basketball, college football, all these combined, because he does not put up with BS. I don't care. He didn't care for James Harden, LeBron James, Kate, all these other basketball players. He does not care. Whether you agree with the rules or not, or whether I agree with them. You sign a contract. You agree to play. And if you don't care about losing 5 to 10 games, it shows that this isn't anything new from Harden. I believe this is how he was his whole career. Like we see with money, this isn't exposing something new about a player or about a person. This is just happening inevitably over time, just like we saw with Tony Brown in his early days with Bruce Arians and Mike Tomlin. Nothing has changed with James Harden. This is how he's been as a player on and off the court. If you don't care about your teammates, it shows you what else do you not care about. Because doing what you're doing, in what sick, delusional world do you think that any of this is going to help you get onto a team that is actually going to contend? I don't know who tweeted that tweet, but I 100% agree. You should have to go to one of the 1 to 2 worst teams, because when you don't want to be there and you keep throwing these tantrums, sometimes you have to swallow your pride and maybe go through a situation that kind of sucks, massive, whatever. I'm ashamed of James Harden. I used to be a fan because he's a good scorer. I've been to Houston multiple times with family. I'm done with him as a player, because even if he goes to a team that he wants, does he really want to go with another team? This is guarantee that if James Harden Callan goes to another basketball team, whether it's a contender or not, is all these antics, all these things that he's been like his whole career going to instantly change? And the fact of the matter is, no, it's not.
Isaiah, this is becoming a soap opera. This is just getting worse and worse. And I think it's been magnified in my mind now by what we know about, maybe him coming to camp out of shape because of his weight, maybe in the preseason. But now, though, I think it's hitting like an all-time rock bottom low, because now you've been spotted in public without a mask on, socializing like there's nothing going on, for one thing. But also, this is also pretty much at the peak, though, of trade talks going on, falling off, not going through with, again, the Rockets trying to deal away James Harden. But more so, it's hurting, I think, his credibility because of how he's carrying himself this season. And we know he looks bloated, out of shape, maybe a bit overweight, though. But more so for me, though, it's the off-the-court nonsense. I think I just drew the parallel, though, Isaiah, between him and Dwayne Haskins Jr. Both these guys have been fined a combined total of $90,000 within an hours-long span, basically, in the NFL and the NBA for, again, breaching protocols. Some very loose in the NFL, in my mind, but some, though, Isaiah, I think in the NBA that probably should set the standard, or should have set the standard, though, back when all these leagues, MLB, the NFL, the NBA, NHL, Major League Soccer, the WNBA, college sports, that these protocols should have been in place, though, where there's, obviously you can't find college kids, though, but, maybe some type of a sanction against the program, fines, sanctions, suspensions, but even game forfeits. Isaiah, I was a big proponent of that for the baseball season when we had the Marlins and the Cardinals have their issues. Forget postponing these games. Make them forfeit for for being idiots, away from the field of play and away from the stadium and stuff of that caliber. But Isaiah, your thoughts, though, about the ongoing drama that is James Harden in Houston, but again, popped $50,000 and ruled unavailable for the Rockets game that, of course, was postponed due to, again, the team not fulfilling the minimum number of players needed, though, for a roster against Oklahoma City on Wednesday. Isaiah, you're muted.
Callan, I was video chatting the other day with my 9-year-old cousin, and in the middle of that video chat, I realized something. My 9-year-old cousin is more mature than James Harden, who is 30 years old. I mean, James Harden should be absolutely ashamed of himself. This guy is throwing these like temper tantrums right now. He's acting like a little kid. Grow up, man. You're 30 freaking years old. You should act like a professional. I know that you're disgruntled and you want out, but let me tell you something, James Harden. You're under contract for 3 more years. So your leverage is the same like the Oakland A's payroll. You have barely amount of leverage. The Rockets have so much more leverage over you that they could just tell you, hey, James Harden, if you're not happy, fine. You can go ahead and sit the season out and we won't care. You can sit out the next season after that, and let's see if you will really sit out 3 years. Let's see if you will actually.
You like that? You like that?
Yes, I don't think James Harden will sit out 3 years, but hey, if he keeps acting like that, I think that's what the Rockets should do. They should make James Harden, or they should, give him an ultimatum that is, hey, you know what? We're not going to trade you because you're James Harden. You're one of the best scorers in the NBA, and you're still under contract with us for the next 3 years. This isn't a Kawhi situation. This isn't a Paul George situation. This isn't even an Anthony Davis situation. James Harden has no leverage whatsoever. He should go shut up and play basketball right now, because the more he acts like this, it's destroying his trade value, and he is basically giving the Houston Rockets a big fat middle finger. And you know what? Raphael Stoll, Steven Silas, and the Rockets, you know what they should do, Callan? They should give that fat middle finger right back to him and trade him to the New York Knicks. Trade him to the Charlotte Hornets and see how he likes it there. Because James Harden cannot dictate the terms of this trade because he has no leverage whatsoever. The Rockets are the ones that can dictate that trade. So James Harden, I suggest to you, shut up and go play basketball.
Martin, I think you remember best, buddy, that when we got the news, though, of the Steven Silas hiring by the Rockets, I blurted out on air here that I thought that there was something more to this story as to why did this club not get Jeff Van Gundy or a more notable name for their head coaching vacancy with D'Antoni leaving, and then, of course, Daryl Morey leaves. And I said explicitly right here on the network and pretty much blurted out, like I said, there's got to be more of this to the story that we don't know. To me, though, that this has become a major domino effect for this organization, who Martin has been so close to getting to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1996, 97, 98, roughly. And they've been so close, so many times, either in round 2, round 3, but they lose and can't get over that hump, though. They can't hold the lead, though. And now it's like it's a very slow death to a era of basketball for Rockets fans. I mean, it's like seeing a very slow death, though, of seeing James Harden, disgruntled behavior, out of shape coming into training camp in the preseason. Now this on top of it. It's just, in my mind, Martin, that this is the final cherry on top for James Harden's time in Houston. As James says, he wants to see him go to the Knicks. But Martin, where do you stand, though, about this, as we already have mentioned, though, man, with James Harden, again, being popped $50,000 for, again, being spotted maskless at a club and socializing and breaking both team and also league protocol?
Honestly, I'm sorry, but $50,000 is nothing to a superstar named James Harden. 50,000 is like a slap on the wrist, man. You should, but the thing is you can't even suspend him because that'll just make him even happier. I think what the Rockets have to do is just force him to play the whole season. Don't give in to his trade demands. If you do trade him, you're going to trade him for probably 3/4 of his value because people are seeing how toxic he is, how out of shape he is. And no team wants that. Even if he's a superstar, no team wants that negative impact on your team. So I think you keep him, unless you get a hell of a deal, but I don't see it coming. So I just think it's one of those unfortunate situations for the Rockets because their era of competing or kind of competing for championships is over. I mean, their team's not even that bad yet. It's just Harden doesn't care, and he's not gonna try to carry them to the finals. He never has to begin with, even when he was happy, and even when he had Chris Paul, when he had a Howard. So it's not gonna happen this year either. I think you just make them man up, make them play. Worst comes to worst, I would say you bench him the whole season. I mean, take the L. If he doesn't want to play, let him sit out, but don't trade him. Just let him sit out and make him man up to his contract that he willingly signed.
We welcome, folks, our executive producer of the network here, our good friend, shareable Stephen Wang. Of course, Steve, happy holidays to you and the family. Steve, we know, though, man, that as I had said, though, that when we had gotten the news of the Stephen Silas hiring by Houston, that I had said, though, pretty plain as day on here, that there's something more to the story that we don't know. And right now we're kind of seeing that this team is being ripped apart at the seams of the hiring of Silas, Daryl Morey going to Philadelphia. Now, of course, the main superstar in town, James Harden, unhappy, disgruntled, out of shape, not spending a lot of time with the media. But of course, now further issues here. You know, pretty much, Steve, in my mind, this is a major domino effect of seeing Morey leave, D'Antoni leave, new head coach comes in, new general manager, and of course that one star player is not enthused by the moves that were made by the organization. And again, for a franchise, Wang, who we have seen, though, that was so close so many times, either losing in round one, round two, or in the conference final, again, not getting back to the NBA finals, you know, being so close so many times, and now you have to blow things up, it seems like, again. But as Isaiah said, though, very well, though, Harden, you know, this is a lose-lose situation for James Harden. 3 years of club control, you're not going anywhere until those 3 years are up, though. But shareable Steve, your thoughts, though, on the entire Rockets soap opera brewing down there in H-Town. What do you got for us, buddy?
Well, first of all, I am very excited to be joining you guys on this Christmas special. Obviously, we're practicing social distancing. It's pretty dangerous out there right now with hundreds of thousands of cases every day. I wish all of us here could be walking in a winter wonderland, but instead we got to be streaming in a winter wonderland, guys. But getting back to the topic of James Harden and the Houston Rockets, Callan, this is a sad, sad saga for the NBA. And it's not just the Houston Rockets. It's a really sad saga for the NBA because this, if there was ever any doubt about the death of team loyalty, this has put the 100th nail into the coffin because, you know, this was a situation where you had a Houston franchise that they didn't necessarily have the storied tradition of like a Lakers or even recently the Heat have been doing a lot of winning as well, or the Celtics. This is not necessarily a long-term winning organization. And I know they've achieved some success with Hakeem Olajuwon and had their fair trials and tribulations with Yao and T-Mac. But you figured that this could have been a Dirk Nowitzki moment for the Houston Rockets. You thought that James Harden was that guy that could carry you to that one championship and just be loyal to the organization. And, you know, Houston did nothing wrong in this whole situation, guys. I do want to get into a little bit of the COVID situation with Harden and him wanting out, but on a macro level, Houston did nothing wrong when it comes to dealing with James Harden and dealing with all these different players. They did everything that was asked of them from James Harden. They brought Dwight Howard to Houston. When that didn't work out, they brought Chris Paul, Trevor Ariza. They brought all of these solid starters and stars to play with Harden to appease him. They even brought Westbrook over last year. They did all they could. They gave Harden their all. And this is a guy who's going to turn his back on a franchise just like so many other players before him have done to their franchises. This is now no longer the era of the franchise player anymore. This is the era of fantasy basketball. That's what the NBA has become. Loyalty, it's not that it doesn't seem to exist anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. And it's just sad to see it go. I had called Callan previously that this would be like a Dirk Dallas situation where you had a guy consistently choking and falling short in the playoffs, but finally getting vindication with this franchise. I truly thought Harden could take that route, but he's given it up now, and Houston is not here to blame. They did everything they possibly could to try to keep Harden in tow, to try to win a championship. The chips didn't fall in place, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to disagree with Martin and a lot of people on this panel, and I think right now the only solution you have is to cut your losses, because I get it. He has 3 years left on his deal, but the longer you let him stretch out his time on this deal and just make stupid, silly mistakes on and off the court, the less valuable he becomes. They brought this new coach that you mentioned, Callan. They brought him to really rebuild the organization. Your gut feeling, it turned out to be correct. And Callan, I guess I got to direct the question back to you. When they hired this Steven Silas guy, did you think that Houston was coming into a rebuild mode, possibly?
To me, it seemed like yes, because if they were going to push all the poker chips into the front, to the table and say we're going all in, it would have been like a Van Gundy hiring Jeff or Stan or a big name coach. But when you go the route though of a assistant coach though, like a Steven Silas, who again unproven, first time head coach. Again, I would say that about Steve Nash though too in Brooklyn. It doesn't really, I think, sit well with veteran players. Again, as John and I said, or Alcorn and I said on Tuesday on the night shift, is the Nets won their first game of the year though, but how's that going to be 10 games from now, 20 games from now, because of the off-the-court banter with KD and Irving saying, we don't need Steve Nash to be our coach. Who the hell is this guy that they brought in to be our head coach? With Houston, though, it's a different animal in my mind because, again, it's a unproven assistant coach. Yeah, his dad was a great coach at one point in time. But to me, though, a new GM, a new chapter, a new coach comes in, a new chapter begins in Rockets history. But now it's like, well, we've been close. We can't afford these guys. We have to play small market syndrome now and trade away the big names like Westbrook, deal away Capella. But now, of course, it's that one superstar that's left, though. But Steve, in my mind, I still think that there's still a long way to go until this saga is totally revolved and resolved in my mind.
I completely agree with that, and I completely agree with what James Gonzalez is saying here. This is a prime example of a player having too much control over a team. The reality of the situation is, unless you're LeBron James or Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I know I hate on him like crazy, Trevor and Martin. You guys have heard my rants about Giannis becoming the Greek yogurt in the playoffs, but he's one of those guys where he can have too much control over a franchise. You can afford to give someone like him a lot of control. But someone like James Harden, I just don't think it sits well with the franchise. It cost them dearly, and now it's time for Houston to move their chips onto the table and trade him ASAP. Because the longer you keep this guy on his deal, the older he gets, the less willing he is to put in any effort for this organization, and the more his trade value goes down. You've tried this for many years now, and the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You got to trade away Harden. You've seen what kind of haul people were able to get for guys like Paul George or even Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook. Get something out of this guy and, move into the new era, because right now you're stuck in a bad place. You're stuck in the place where you're consistently in the playoffs, but you're not really in the championship window anymore. And you cannot be, as an NBA franchise, it's the worst place to be long-term, and you can't afford to be stuck in limbo like that, paying this dude $40 to $50 million a year. It's just madness.
Madness for sure. And also wanted to go back to a few of other thoughts real quick, Mr. Mathis. First from James, who said he would want to see Harden all alone on the Knicks. Yeah.
How's that for an island, Callan?
Oh, man, that'd be huge. Christy Wilson also says loyalty does not seem to exist anymore. Again, Dirk, Kobe, Tony Gwynn, those guys aren't walking through the door, sadly, anymore to be with one organization for 20-plus years. And again, James says this is a prime example of a player having too much power or control over a team. The Rockets tried everything. Now just need to trade him ASAP. Shame of what the NBA is now becoming. And Christy also says that this is beginning to feel like a gut job down there in Houston, as we've already mentioned plenty of times about the hiring of Steven Silas and plenty of other pieces around there as well. With that, guys, from James Harden's issues to Dwayne Haskins Jr.'s issues as we get ready, guys, for Week 16 of the NFL season, beginning on Christmas Day with one NFL game between Stevens Vikings and the New Orleans Saints coming your way on Friday afternoon. But of course, guys, Dwayne Haskins Jr. is now in hot water and again was fined $40,000 and stripped of his captain's role with the Washington football team after video surfaced of him visiting a Seattle strip club and being maskless and also posing for photos with the dancers at the facility. Mathis, we'll go to you first, my friend. So we go from Harden's issues now to the other side of the story where, again, we have two athletes, guys, being fined a combined total of $90,000 for, again, reckless actions during an ongoing pandemic with both their franchises. And again, we did see one team, again, have to have their game postponed due to the nature of the team not having the minimum number of players to be on that roster. Mathis, give us your reaction and thoughts on this story. Again, Dwayne Haskins Jr. popped $40K and also stripped of his team captain's role with the Washington football team after the videos and photos leaked out of him being at a strip club on Sunday or over the course of the week in Seattle.
You know what? You have to handle these type of issues with a great deal of maturity. And a lot of these players, Callan, are just not mature for, their job titles. I mean, Dwayne Haskins is a quarterback. Yes, he was, assigned to the captain role. And you know what? He deserves what he's getting. He deserves to be stripped of his captaincy. Because, look, this was poor judgment. This was utterly stupid. And what's up with all these players going to strip clubs? Knowing the times we're in, it's not safe. And, okay, look, if you're going to go to a strip club, at least wear a mask. Okay, mask up, take the proper safety steps that is needed to protect yourself and possibly even your teammates, and I just don't get it. I really don't get it. But he deserves not to be the captain anymore because this is not what a captain does. A captain doesn't put his team at risk. A captain doesn't, make reckless decisions and do things that's gonna jeopardize their team in the future. Yes, he took full responsibility for putting the team at risk. Okay, that's fine. He apologized to his teammates for creating a distraction because this has created a distraction as if Washington hadn't already had enough distractions. The team is already dealing with enough publicity because the owner was stubborn and didn't even want to change the name of the football team. So that was another social media firestorm. And now you have this. And now you have pictures of your quarterback, a guy you trust in, a guy who danger trusts, and you have pictures of him in a strip club not wearing a mask. It's mind-blowing to me that these guys, as much money as they're making to play a professional sport, that they cannot take responsibility. It was irresponsible and it was very immature. But at least he did accept, responsibility for his action. But that still doesn't let him off the hook. He still should be punished as he was. And I think he deserves a harsher punishment. Being stripped of his captaincy isn't enough. I mean, I think he needs to be hit harder than this. Because you know what? That's the only way you send a message. You have to send a message to these players. You have to, not let them get away with stuff like this, because if you do, then they think it's okay in the future to do it again. And it's not. But this pandemic has really, revealed the true character of a lot of these athletes. guys like James Harden, guys like Haskins, guys like Lou Williams, and again, we talked about this before too, Callan, and to the rest of the panel here. These guys are young, so they're gonna find ways to break the rules. And you know what? You have to be smarter than that, because now we live in an age where everyone has cameras, everyone's on social media. So if you're out there, they can see you. They know what you're doing, and all it takes is one snap of a photo, and that image is everywhere. And once it's on the internet, it follows you everywhere, and everyone's going to be able to see what you're doing, and you're going to be embarrassed, and you're going to look like a fool because, you was out there, and there's no possible way that you could deny it because it's all on camera or it's on video. So, I mean, these players have to be smarter than this. They have to realize that we're in the middle of a pandemic, and it's not only about you, it's about your family too. Don't you want to keep the people close to your heart, your loved ones? Don't you want to keep them healthy as well? So it's not about you. And if you want to go to the strip club, do it safely, or wait till times get better and then go to the strip club later on. I don't know what's so fascinating about going to a strip club, especially in a time like this. And you should be more focused on your team. Your team is doing great things this year because, for one, you guys are in a weak division, so you still have a shot at the playoffs. That should be your primary focus, not throwing money at strippers in a strip club and not wearing a mask. It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Shareable Steve, we've talked so much, though, over the past several months, though, of players like Lou Williams, James Harden, now Dwayne Haskins Jr., or players or teams caught in the limelight for reasons of this nature, of either, a team dinner somewhere that went wrong because of the pandemic. Obviously, Lemon Pepper Lou in the bubble in Atlanta, Dwayne Haskins, James Harden. We've had a lot of these stories, though, that have come out, though. But to me, though, and I think that Christy Wilson, though, said it best, though, that if Washington does lose this division, Dwayne Haskins Jr. is going to become the scapegoat in Maryland and in the DMV area because of maybe ruining the chance of the Washington football team, a team without a nickname, perhaps winning the weakest division probably in our lifetime of NFL football, Steve. And, of course, it's reckless and sadly idiotic, though, in people's minds that we have seen this, of course, come to fruition. But I do think that Mavis is right, though, that there should have been harsher punishment. But then again, though, this is Roger Goodell. This is the NFL, after all, Steve. So it's no surprise to me. But your thoughts, though, Wang, about where, in fact, you stand, though, on both Dwayne Haskins Jr. Being fined $40K, but also losing his captain's role with the organization. But also that there's really not much punishment other than that, though, from anyone else outside the organization.
I mean, that about sums it up, Callan. It's really back to what Martin was saying earlier. When you're making $5, $10, $15, $50 million per year, what is like a $30,000 or $50,000 fine, really? It's just not enough. What they got to do is they need to suspend these players without pay for a couple of games and take out some of their salary because they chose to be negligent and put fans and their own team and their training staff at risk. There's no excuse to be pulling this kind of stuff during a pandemic. There's no excuse to be going out there, meeting strangers or going to strip clubs and just exposing yourself to the virus so recklessly. When you just put a minor slap on the wrist, oh, wow, like I'm an NFL player making millions, making hundreds of times what the average person earns, and you just make me not team captain and you fine me tens of thousands of dollars. What is it really? It's like a speeding ticket, man, for putting lives at risk. What they got to do is they got to cut these people from games, and they need to suspend them without pay. 2 to 3 games minimum. It's just getting ridiculous how much entitlement there is in sports nowadays. And it's not just the James Hardens and the LeBrons and all the superstars of the world that have too much control over their teams. Now it's even rookies. It's even people who have barely even snapped a football or tipped a basketball up and down the courts, that have so much control over their team, so much control over society and over the league. It's just getting ridiculous, man. And I'm very ashamed of Dwayne Haskins. A lot of people at Ohio State, they warned me to not call it quits on him too soon. But I had this guy as a bust since last season. I understand that's like a very basic way of watching the sports, where you just look at his performance and, look at it in a vacuum, considering he had so little help. But this is really how I felt about the whole situation. I think he was not ready for the NFL. He played with great talent at Ohio State, and it's shameful to see him fall down this rabbit hole and not be able to get back up. But before I kind of advance more into Dwayne Haskins' ill-trodden career, I do have to say one thing to Furman. Furman and a lot of the fans out there tuning in, and a lot of fans out there tuning into the NFL and college football especially, don't go pinning this on Ohio State now. First of all, quarterback is just one small indication of how great your college program is. I mean, for goodness sake, I know that Ohio State hasn't generated Tom Brady, Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, or Eli Manning, or any of the big winners in the NFL, but are we really going to sit there and say that Southern Mississippi or Michigan is a better football program as of late than Ohio State because they generated Tom Brady and Brett Favre? Don't be ridiculous here, Furman. I'm talking to you right now directly and all those Ohio State haters, all right? Michigan might have generated Brady. He could win 6 rings. He could win 15 for all I care. Michigan would take 2 recent national titles over generating Tom Brady any day. What NFL quarterbacks you generate does not have any correlation to how great of a college program you are. It's very, very minor because you still have offensive linemen to factor in. We're DBU. We generate some of the best cornerbacks, some of the best safeties in the NFL, some of the best running backs. So you can have a mediocre quarterback program, but you could be a really, really elite college program. And Ohio State is miles ahead of Jim Harbaugh's trash can that is Michigan, and miles ahead of your Oregon Ducks and Georgia Bulldogs. Isaiah, I know you're not in the stream, but you're going to get in soon. So that concludes my rant about Ohio State and Dwayne Haskins. Keep that same energy, guys, when it comes to the other positions. Don't just use quarterbacks to discount Ohio State. Nobody woke up yesterday morning and said Southern Mississippi over Ohio State because they generated Brett Favre.
Trevor, again, man, it kind of sucks though having to talk about these kinds of stories, but it is the nature though of the game and stuff of that, and it's guys being fined or punished for things away from the field of play though. But Trevor, any thoughts to pass on? Again, folks, Dwayne Haskins Jr., the quarterback for the Washington football team, popped $40,000 and stripped of his captain's role after, again, video and photo surfaced of him visiting a Seattle strip club earlier in the week without a mask, and again, also not adhering as well to protocols for COVID. But Trevor, any thoughts to pass along about this, man?
Stripping the captain role is perfect sense. Your quarterback is the leader of the team, and I understand, if your quarterback is not following, like, setting the rules by example, if he gets a pass, then other players on the team will try to do the same thing, and thus you create some more chaos in your organization. I understand, Dwayne Haskins hasn't had the best year. They moved him to third string quarterback, so I bet he's definitely frustrated. And at the same point in time, he may not get the chance to play in the playoffs, and Alex Smith may, get the gig and press on in the playoff spot, and he may never see the field again, Dwayne Haskins. So he has that frustration, but at the same time, your team is this close to the playoffs. You're in the second to last week, and you go to a strip club. I guess it's more than like, if your team was eliminated, it'd be a different scenario. It's like, well, it's whatever. My team's out of the picture. But since your team is still in the contending race, you got to fight and finish this season tooth and nail to get into that playoff spot. Though you may not be able to win it, but just getting to the playoff spot, maybe your second or third year as a quarterback, I think that just says a lot about your career. Though it may not be the prettiest fashion, they may have not put the best weapons around you, but it's definitely, improve your career as a quarterback and getting that playoff experience. Because look at Josh Allen. When he got to the playoffs, it wasn't pretty. It was ugly. But now he's grown up and now he's matured. And look at the Bills. They're elite in their division. They're about to probably dominate the AFC championship game, probably against the Chiefs, most likely, because the Steelers have been a fraud recently. So at this point in time, I think Dwayne Haskins needs to take a look in the mirror and ask him, does he want to play football? And if he does, he needs to find a way to get out of Washington to improve his career, because I don't think Washington even wants him there anymore at this point.
Martin, I think that Trevor's onto a valid point, though, that there's a difference between players that are on non-contending teams to do stuff like this where, season's over, like the Jets players, maybe Jacksonville, like it's okay for them to kind of do, I mean, I'm not saying it is right now in a pandemic, though, but in a regular year, though, that if it's a player on a team that's, 1-13, 1-13, 0-15, and they're not having a good year, that they've already been eliminated, though, I could see more of his stuff coming out, though. But especially, though, Martin, when your team, though, is on the cusp of the playoffs, in a year like this, though, with uncertainty and, of course, the pandemic going on, this is the last possible thing that you should be doing is creating a distraction. If I know distractions well about watching NFL football in San Diego, Vincent Jackson, great Charger receiver, arrested the morning of a playoff game in San Diego for being drunk in the Gaslamp Quarter, plus playing his music too loud. Phillip Rivers had to come pick him up at 7:30 in the morning to get him, for one, out of police custody, but get him snapped back into it because they had a game that day. The Chargers, of course, lose to the Jets because of Nate Kading and his Werfel place kicking. But that this is the last thing, though, that you need to have happen at this stage, though, Martin, in the season, where, again, you got 2 weeks to go, and you're right on the doorstep of winning the worst division in probably NFL history with all four teams having dreadful records. But, Martin, more so, I think that you had a better point, though, more so in the Harden segment, though, when we had talked more so about, this is a slap on the wrist. I think it is, though. But at the same time, though, Martin, do you really expect, though, Roger Goodell to have some type of punishment like what Adam Silver has in the NBA? I say no.
You're right. No. I mean, for Haskins, man, you got to think of it with him, man. He has not felt like he's been a part of that team for a while now. He's felt that team has been trying to get rid of him, trying to throw him to the bus. So I'm pretty sure since the season, halfway through the season, he's been over this team. He's not a fan of this Washington team. He lost that. He just lose his captain status also.
Yes.
How is he a captain, man? He's been a backup the whole season practically, and he's been in combat with his head coach for a while now. So I don't think Haskins even cares, man. Like if you were in that situation, would you really, I guess, put that effort in if you saw how bad they treated you, man? I mean, I don't think Haskins is a great quarterback or anything, but I think he's been treated unfairly, unfortunately. And he's in a rocky situation. I mean, he's not going to start anymore, clearly. He's not going to be a part of this team, I don't think. I think off-season, you probably get rid of him. You probably just release him straight up. Another team will have to take a shot with him, but he does have character issues because there was issues earlier in the season with Dwayne Haskins. I don't know if it's the Ohio State culture or what it is, but man, there's some drama in Washington. I'll tell you that. So I just think for Haskins' sake, he asked to get released or traded because I don't think he's gonna get a first shot into this team, especially after what he did this past week, I believe. I just don't think the team wants to put time or effort with him anymore. You get so many chances after they're like, we're done with you, man. He's pretty much gonna become the next Jamarcus Russell of the Raiders. Man,
ouch,
dude. Remember, Jamarcus Russell was he was supposedly in the team, but I mean, they gave him assignments and he wouldn't even do them. He would say, "I did it." This guy was a liar. He was a trash QB, LSU, not Ohio State, but still, man, this guy reminds me of Jamarcus Russell. He's a half-passer.
Nope.
Oh no, I wouldn't compare him
on
that,
that
man.
I would say
Not
talent-wise. Not talent-wise.
Marcus Russell was more lazy than anything, and he'll spend more time in jewelry stores buying chains than he would
But
in the film room dissecting players.
But you would think Haskins would be doing that right now during this playoff matchup, potential playoff matchup. But he's out there having the time of his life with that nice little contract of his.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of them do when they have money like that. They take advantage of it, and they don't, they don't take their job seriously, and they go crazy. And we see that.
I think for Washington's sake, or for Washington alone, he's gonna end up a draft bust. I don't think he himself is a bust, but for the Washington football team, he's a bust, man.
I agree. I really think he is.
Yeah, I could see him ending up being a bust, but I still wouldn't compare him to LaMarcus Russell. LaMarcus Russell, that's a real bust right there. He's the biggest bust in Ryan Leaf.
Hey, let's give him a few more years. If he changes, I'll agree with you guys. But if he keeps doing this stuff, I'll say it again.
I'll agree with Mathis about Ryan Leaf and seeing that train wreck of a quarterback with the San Diego Chargers back in the late 90s.
I'll say this though, guys. I like to give players the benefit of the doubt, so I will, give Dwayne Haskins a few more years. Maybe he might need a change of scenery. Sometimes that works for players. When they go somewhere else, they get another shot, they turn it around. We've seen it. We've seen quarterbacks have resurgent years with different teams. Maybe he just needs a different environment. Who knows? Then maybe that won't even work for him. I don't know.
James Gonzalez has a great solution. Needs to get advised by an NFL vet to straighten him out. I mean, if that's Ryan Leaf talking to him, if that's somebody who,
Ray Lewis,
like, hey, kid, look, you're going down a path you don't want to go down. That might be what he probably needs to kind of get him back into shape.
What about a guy like Ray Lewis?
Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis, exactly. Because he's as intense as he can be, and he's very passionate about not putting up with no bull hog and earning your way into the league and doing what he's done despite the last year where they went to the Super Bowl. I think that would be interesting. I just think with Dwayne Haskins, ladies and gentlemen, I can think of 100 different things to better spend your money on in your 20s instead of going like this and throwing it at strippers. I mean, dude, you're worried about wearing a mask. Do you know what is potentially at a strip club with the people and whatever else is there? As I don't have to say it, you know what I'm talking about. That alone, with the COVID-19 issues already, guarantee you they were not social distancing. That's a big issue. And I wish we saw more guys that we know could have issues early on with spending money and taking advantage of that, have those type of mentors. The NFL doesn't have that kind of program. We kind of saw early on how Dwayne Haskins was not being financially smart in his rookie year. So we see a lot of times with these young quarterbacks. So the fact of the matter is, this organization did not want him in the first place. I'm not saying he's a great quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to be a top 10, 15 quarterback in 5 to 10 years. But when the organization does not want you, why would you want to give your all? Number 2, you don't go to strip club. Grow up, Dwayne Haskins, like it says on my title right here. You have a lot of things you could spend your money on. You want to be a good example and do all these things, and you act like a complete moron? But first of all, why did he get captain status? Give it to Terry McLaurin. Look what he did last year. Give it to maybe Chase Young or Semi on the defense. I know Chase Young's a rookie, but anybody else is deserving of it but Dwayne Haskins. Not because Dwayne Haskins is this garbage quarterback, but he's young. A team didn't want him in the first place. They're going to dealt him and move on. Ray Lewis would be a good mentor opportunity for him because you can't. I don't believe he has those friends. Like when you go into the NFL, you always have these friends that, oh, I need to borrow 20,000. Oh, I need to borrow 100,000. Whatever it is. I don't think he has that true, honest people around him. And if he continues down this path, he may be a bust, not because of his inaction on the field, because of his off the field issues. Grow up, Haskins. You don't need to be going to no strip club. You're not 18, 20 years old. Grow up and make sure that you're spend your money towards better things. Or how about saving some of that so not in 5 to 10 years, you're not going to end up like an old Cavs player that is practically homeless at this point in time.
Isaiah,
go out and buy some J's.
I don't know if that's the right way to do it, Mathis, but we catch your drift. Again, Isaiah, Dwayne Haskins Jr. popped $40,000 by the Washington football team, stripped of his captain's role with the organization. But again, Isaiah, more so like we said, though, a couple times about COVID outbreaks in the NFL, is the timing of this could not be any worse for Dwayne Haskins Jr., where, again, he, in my mind, is fighting for either his starting his job in Washington, or fighting to at least stay there for one more season, because now, though, you have off the field baggage, and usually that becomes, in the limelight or the forefront to how a organization reconsiders keeping you on the roster or what they might in fact do. Now, I think that John Mappis and I agree, though, that a change of scenery might help, though. But more so, I think that James, though, said it better, though, that maybe another NFL veteran can kind of be there to kind of help guide this kid through his, next couple of years in the NFL on that rookie deal. Maybe, who knows? But Isaiah, give us your viewpoint and your perspective on, again, Dwayne Haskins Jr. being popped $40,000, and again, also losing his captain's role with the organization after, again, videos and photos surfaced of him being at a strip club over the course of the week in Seattle.
Well, Callan, the punishment was appropriate for Dwayne Haskins. What Dwayne Haskins did was utterly stupid. I mean, like John Alcorn said, Dwayne Haskins needs to grow up. I think that Dwayne Haskins, he should have spent another year in college. Like, I know the fact that he had a tremendous season and he was going to be a top draft pick. And yes, maybe the talent-wise, he was ready for the NFL. But emotionally, he was not ready for the NFL, and you can clearly see it right now. Like Dwayne Haskins, I think he only started 1 year in college. That is not enough time to be emotionally ready to be a professional in the NFL. And that's why, like, honestly, I don't want the NBA to adopt that or to change the 1 year college rule, because a lot of these guys that are going to be coming out of high school, yes, they're talented, but are they emotionally ready to play basketball on the professional level? We've seen Kwame Brown. I mean, that guy came out of high school, had lots of talent in the world, but what was his problem? He wasn't matured enough for the NBA. We've seen a lot of guys as well take the same path, and they weren't mature enough. Dwayne Haskins, I think he should have stayed another year in Ohio State. But, I just don't understand this, Cal, and I really don't. And I had that legendary rant on it back in, I believe it was either in August or September, where, I basically said, like, these players, we are living in a pandemic right now. We are, going through something that we haven't gone through in over 100 years. Like, there's no time to go out there and be having fun. This is some serious stuff that we're dealing with, man. Like, you can catch this virus and you can just die just like that. That's how serious this virus is. This virus, like John keeps reiterating, this virus is not, or it doesn't discriminate against anyone. A 1-year-old can have it, a 20-year-old can have it, a 50-year-old can have it, a 70-year-old can have it. Anybody can have this virus. You can go anywhere and catch this virus. So for Dwayne Haskins to do that was just utterly stupidity. It was utterly stupid. I am glad that he was stripped of his captain badge, because, like, when you're a captain, you're supposed to be the leader of the team. You're supposed to be the guy that sets the example on the football team. And what Dwayne Haskins did was not what you're supposed to do if you're a captain. Dwayne Haskins, let me tell you something right now. If you're bored, go read a book. If you're, you want to go run around in your hotel and do something, go watch Romeo and Juliet if you're feeling horny. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, don't go to a damn strip club in this pandemic.
Romeo and Juliet, if you're horny?
Yes. Go watch Romeo and Juliet if you're horny. Don't go to a damn strip club. Jeez. What are you
read or
doing?
watches Romeo and Juliet?
I'm just sick and tired of all these players. We hear so many stories. First it was the Marlins, then it was Harden, then it was Haskins. Really? You get paid so much freaking money and you have the maturity of less than a 5-year-old. I mean, that's just how pathetic these idiots are. Like, When we were growing up, right? When we were growing up, these athletes were supposed to be the models. They were supposed to be the guys that we would all follow. Really? Look at the example you're setting for little kids.
Romeo and Juliet. No. I mean, if you're feeling that way, we're not going to talk about that. But no, Romeo and Juliet. Come on, really? That's like one of the most boring things you could watch.
Plenty of comments, fellas, did in fact roll in, though, over the course of the last segment. Christy has called Haskins an idiot for doing what he did. And also, James says, temptation never stops, fellas, even during a pandemic.
The whole point of being an adult is controlling your temptations, and clearly he hasn't grown up from that. Thank you.
James also says, bring the club to you if you really need to. Ask the Bears. They bring Club Dub to them every time when they win a game. It's called Club Dub when they win games at home or on the road for that matter. And also, Christy says, what's a shame, though, is that Ryan Leaf is from the hometown of where she lives in. Henry G writes in, I just had to come in and tell Isaiah that Nick Mullins is, you know what. And Christy also says, which version, though, of Romeo and Juliet?
Don't answer. This is a sports
Henry
program.
also says, when is the last time Isaiah was right on a prediction? Henry, we're going to say never. It's been a while. Been a long time. With that, we will go to Isaiah directly from his baseball segment here as his beloved Phillies have named former outfielder Sam Fuld as the team's new GM. Isaiah, what do you think about this, man?
This is a very interesting hire by the Phillies. You know, Sam Fuld was actually in talks with the Boston Red Sox to be the manager of the Red Sox. He didn't get the job, but you know, I really thought that Sam Fuld was destined for a managerial job. I didn't think that he was going to come in and become a general manager, but hey, you know, it was when I first saw it, it was very shocking news. Obviously, he's very bright. He's very, very smart. He knows the game of baseball, having played the game of baseball for so many years. And I think, you know, this ultimately could be a good fit for the Philadelphia Phillies because Dave Dombrowski is an old school guy. He's a guy that's not really into analytics. And Sam Fuld, being the GM, he could be like the guy. He could bring analytics into the Phillies and become like that blend between old school and new school. So, I mean, it was an interesting hire. It's an unorthodox hire, but hey, I think it will ultimately work because I think that Sam Fuld is just really smart and he can, you know, help the Phillies become that, you know, blend between old school and new school.
They're going to need some help, as well, as we know, though, with Bryce Harper and that contract still strapped to their backs right now for the next several years. With that, guys, one final story for sports tonight is the NHL did, in fact, announce their 2020-21 season format and also release the schedule on Wednesday, guys. This is going to be like the NBA, though, 56 games, but, though, guys, divisional only play for all 56 games. It's been realigned as well due to, again, the nature of the border being closed between the U.S. and Canada. So all the Canadian teams are playing in their own division, West, South, or West, East, and Central, I think, are the other divisions. But also, more so, fellas, as well, that the NHL has a very good idea, though, that if a local government or a state will not allow teams to play games in home markets, they will actually have designated venues in each division to play neutral site games if, in fact, outbreaks get out of control in a certain market or a certain city, or things have to be moved, though. So they actually have some other venues in these in the divisions to host neutral site games. There's no all-star break, but also a 56-game regular season and a traditional 16-team postseason format. Trevor, that might be the only thing that probably, I think, gives the NHL a bit of a boost in my mind, is you have all your teams in Canada playing each other for the whole season. Everyone plays their division. So you're factoring in playing 7 other teams, 56 games for a whole season, no cross-country travel, no West versus East, interdivisional play only, but also you're playing a team 2 times in 3 days. 1 game, day off, another game, and it's kind of in a way like a bi-weekly or like a weekly system in mind. But Trevor, of course, we saw that both, we know about the NBA having no outbreaks. The NHL, no positive outbreaks of COVID-19 over their return to play with 24 teams. The qualifying round, the Stanley Cup playoffs, and ultimately Tampa Bay wins the title. But more so, Trevor, your thoughts though about the NHL and their plans to get back underway. Condensed season, divisional only play, and one division only for teams up in Canada to not cross the border.
I like this setup by hockey. They've done a fantastic job breaking it down in regions, keeping the Canadian teams in Canada. So they basically nailed down the perfect, isolations between all the different teams. So I give them, 100% points on that, 100% effort. My only concern is the enough leeway time between each game. Because like you said, Callan, you have a game that you play, you have a day off, and then you have another game. So I don't know if it's going to be enough time to do preparations and strategy against that same team again. So that's my only concern. Besides that, I think this is a perfect structure to do any type of sports at this point in time.
Mathis, I think that Trevor's right, but I can in fact say though that the NHL though did this right though, where I believe the Anaheim Ducks play the LA Kings 5 consecutive games, 3 of the 5 at Staples Center, 2 of the 5 at Honda Center in Anaheim though, where they're trying their best to keep teams somewhat close. Again, you have Anaheim and LA, San Jose, a part of the West Division with Arizona and Vegas. Then you throw in Colorado, Minnesota, and St. Louis. But more so, John, that a lot of the marquee rivalry games, like maybe, for example, maybe Pittsburgh and Washington, Anaheim and Los Angeles, you could be looking at these teams playing each other 5 times over the course of 2 weeks, basically. But more so, John, I like the format. I like the condensed schedule, but I also like, though, how, like I said, though, for the NBA, though, don't even bother playing teams on the East Coast. Keep it somewhat regionalized. And also, John, the big saving grace for me, though, in my mind, is that there's also designated sites, though, up to 2 arenas, I believe, that are going to be used for neutral site games. So, for example, if LA can't play at Staples Center and the Ducks, for some reason, can't play at Honda Center, there's a, venue inside the division to play neutral site games, much like the postseason this year in Edmonton and in Toronto. John, Mathis, where do you stand, though, about the NHL and their format? And to me, though, I think, like Trevor said, though, Mathis, this sounds very promising for the NHL to get this season underway in some type of capacity.
Yeah, this does sound very promising for the NHL. I think they got it right. I think Bettman has kind of copycat the NBA. And regional play is an okay thing, especially for hockey, because when you have the Ducks and the Kings playing each other, that makes hockey more exciting because people want to see the Ducks play the Kings. It's a crosstown rival, LA versus Anaheim. I think that helps with the game. I think that could popularize hockey. A lot of people said hockey never recovered after the strike many years ago. And maybe this pandemic can help hockey get back on its feet once again by keeping it in the regions, and it'll be nice to see the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals play numerous times, consecutive nights. That'll be fun to see because that's something that fans want to see. They want to see the rival teams butt heads, and they want to see the intensity. They want to see the fights. They want to see that aggressive play. And by making it regional, you will see that with hockey. But I think more than anything is for the safety of these players. Is to kind of keep things under control, make sure that this virus does not spread throughout the league, so there won't be any major outbreaks throughout the league. And I like Bettman's plan here. I think once again he got it right.
Alcorn, I think you probably know, though, that Gary Bettman is probably not the best commissioner outside of Goodell and Manfred with both baseball and football. But, of course, Gary Bettman, though, did his best, though, I think, when he first came in. But, of course, he had 2 big-time labor strikes, though, in his time in 94, 95, then 05, 06. That saw the seasons wiped off the board. I should say 04, 05, the season was wiped off the board. Then they had one recently in 2010, 2011. But I think, though, Alcorn, I think a lot of people that probably despise the commissioner in sports, more so Manfred, more so Goodell, but that Adam Silver and Gary Bettman, and I would throw Don Garber of Major League Soccer in the mix, though, too, as well, J.A., these three commissioners did their damnedest and did things the right way to get hockey back, basketball back, and even soccer back, in my mind as well. But J.A., again, 56-game regular season for the NHL, divisional only place. You're going to be playing the same 7 teams for the entire season. Again, all the teams in Canada are in their own division, but more so, again, emphasis on more so on the rivalries, but also as well regionalized play, but also designated venues in case that there has to be neutral site games. Obviously, Jay, we know that hockey is probably not your forte, but more so just logistically, though, Jay, about the logistics, though, about how this plan, though, probably in your mind will work for pro hockey when it comes back in January.
Why don't more sports teams do this? This is a pandemic. This is a perfect situation. Only playing your division teams and staying close by. You're not like the NBA this year, traveling over here and up here and down here and behind me. That's just not a good idea. But as much as I don't know about the NHL, I think this is a terrific idea, especially when you don't know when cases are going to grow up or cases are going to get down. I think it's without a doubt a fantastic idea. Obviously, like I said, being critical of the commissioner of the NHL, because how do you have that many lockouts in consecutive years? But the fact of the matter is, the NHL knows exactly what they're doing. They planned this for a very long time. It was, I believe, delayed until early 2021, like we talked about a couple weeks or months ago. Great job by the commissioner, of course, being able to do this, because you just don't know. Anything can happen at any time. I think this is just a perfect idea, especially with 56 games which is usually a however many game season. I think it's a phenomenal idea. I wish the NBA would do something like this. I know it sounds kind of silly, but it's better to do that than to risk the health of players just to see fans at games or just to see guys playing other teams outside of their division. You got to think about it both ways. I know it's difficult, but would you rather have a season or try to play all the other teams and not have a season at all?
Isaiah, I think that's the parallel that I've drawn, or more so the comparison, though, I think, Isaiah, that has been drawn here is that this is the exact system and format that I think we wanted for the NBA, though, was to, don't risk playing these play these games, though, that are, in fact, on the East Coast, or keep, the regular format, though. But Isaiah, any thoughts to pass along? As mentioned, NHL looking at a 56-game regular season, but more so divisional only play for a majority of the season, if not the entire, or I should say the entire season at this rate. What do you got?
I think it's a great idea for the NHL because it minimizes the exposure of travel. And I think that's what is very important now in this pandemic is you minimize the travel for the players, because the more amount that you have to travel, the more chances you have of getting this virus. I really like this plan by the NHL. I mean, Gary Bettman, who the fans have slandered for years as one of the worst commissioners in the sports, he's actually done a very, very good job during this pandemic in navigating the NHL, first in the bubble and now in this 56-game season. So I got to give props to him for doing a great job, and I think this will really work out for the NHL. I think it's something that the NBA should have done, which is just go by regions. Like the West Coast plays the West and the East Coast plays the East, something that the NHL is doing. I think it's a great plan, and I hope it works out for the NHL.
Same here, especially with hoping that we'll see the American Hockey League have a very similar plan for their season as well. James agrees. Smart move by the NHL. Henry writes in to say that the NHL will only flourish if it moves all the American teams to Canada, Finland, or Russia. I will say this. Can we get more NHL teams playing the teams from Canada, like the obviously not the Canucks or teams like that, but I'd like to see more games against like European clubs or Russian clubs and stuff like that. Henry also chimes in. Soccer has officially passed the NHL as the number 4 mainstream sport in the U.S. Soccer on the rise, NHL going down. I would not really say that's fair, but more so that soccer is gaining traction. but that obviously markets in the upper Northeast will be all for hockey, and plus, of course, up in Canada. And Christie also says, I am happy that the NHL is coming back. Go Knights, go. So we know about where the alliance or allegiance for her does, in fact, rest. With that, though, guys, before we, in fact, get out of here for the night and actually get away from Sports Zone talk about some of our favorite Christmas time ordeals, it's time for another edition, fellas, of Bloopers of the Week. Since we're not going to be here coming up on Sunday with, of course, the Christmas break coming up after tonight's program. But, of course, guys, we do this every Sunday on the night shift with myself, Isaiah, and John Alcorn. With that, guys, let's get into some of these Bloopers of the Week. First up, fellas, on the list, thank you very much. Who's going to pay that? Who's going to pay for that tank to be repaired?
Taxpayers' dollars.
Where it landed on the people, and I was just watching it. Like, I can't imagine the fear going through you. Maybe he needs a sponsorship, but it depends after that video. Because, man, oh man, that would scare the you-know-what out of
Alcorny shirts on Higgins diapers sponsoring that segment.
I mean, you could. I saw some at Target today. I mean, Huggies, sorry.
Mathis?
Yeah, I hope I never encounter a tanker now.
Isaiah, any thoughts on the blooper?
Two things. Number one, those two people like that were, next to the blooper, they are very, very lucky that that tank didn't flip over and then fire something, because that could have easily happened and then they would have been killed. Number two was that Sam Darnold and Marcus May or Adam Gase that were putting that tank on that truck? Were they the ones that did that?
No, it was Jared Goff.
No, that tank was their season, thinking that anything's going to happen, and of course they're tanking, and then, well, it went happen as their hopes died after week one started, because Adam Gase is the head coach. You realize, oh no, we screwed up hiring Adam Gase, and then of course it all falls apart, and somehow Adam Gase is still there.
That's yikes. That's pretty rough to watch. We'll move on, guys, to our next blooper of the week. We have technology.
Did he break? Like, was that a blue screen install? Like when you break, like when you drop something and it stops working?
I just wonder how his leg feels after that whole thing.
Oh,
I'm just trying to figure out that, like, he hit, like, I think we've all done that before, where we got frustrated with technology,
not like that, where it
and slammed
like
it. I think we've seen that before from some people, but I know in things in the heating of the moment. I know college football when I was younger. You're playing a crucial close game. You throw a pick six and you spike your controller. So I think it's very possible for people to somewhat do that.
Did you get rejected by somebody, or did you just mess up on a math problem or something? I mean, my gosh.
Maybe he couldn't do the undo button. I don't know.
This guy got
It looked like he was playing solitaire.
solitaire on an iPad.
Doesn't
You
it?
probably shouldn't have an iPad if you're playing solitaire.
James, someone's Wi-Fi isn't working.
I guess that's the best way to explain it.
Patience is a virtue, fellas. Patience is a virtue. And also, that guy, congratulations to him, because he has won our MI6 New Idiot of the Week award.
So wouldn't that be you talking about Josh Rosen being the savior now, or is that just like not a blooper? 'Cause it's not. reported.
I had never said Josh Rosen is a savior. Never did. Never did. Let me put that out there.
No, Isaiah, I think I read somewhere in a group chat that it said Josh Rosen could be the next franchise quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Let's get that train ready.
Oh my goodness.
You know it's bad if John Mavis is taking out the glasses and putting his hands on his head.
I watched that guy play. He played in the neck of these woods, and oh my goodness, that guy was not NFL ready. And
when you have that attitude of it, when you already have the attitude before you get drafted,
what has he's arrogant for one. What has he done? Absolutely nothing.
Didn't he play for Chip Kelly? Or was that the year before?
Fellas, we still have more bloopers to get to, but believe me, yes, Isaiah said that Josh Rosen could be the next franchise quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers and may even be better than Joe flipping Montana.
What?
Next up, guys,
Get off
is
the network right now. That is unacceptable.
next up, fellas, is reckless intent.
Oh. Are you okay?
I hope that wasn't your mom's car.
Poor Saturn.
Your butt's gonna be redder than my hair after that if that was your mom's car. Gosh.
Oh. Are you okay?
Here's you, here's Matt, there's you, there.
Holy smokes, man.
Oh.
I'm speechless.
I know
I'm
bloopers are
like,
stupid, but
you couldn't turn out the way.
goes higher and higher and higher every week when you see these.
Trevor, I agree. Like, how do you not turn the ATV?
Oh. Are you okay?
I don't blame Mathis. I'm covering up after that one.
I almost broke a rib laughing so hard at that one, too.
Christy says he better pay the insurance on that car. James says, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Definitely agree with Mr. Gonzalez. Next up, fellas, watch your step. No.
I hope he wasn't married because, man, that's going to be an awful.
All that food gone goodbye.
I'm hoping it was
Did
just
he-
oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy.
Did he trip over something in the ground, or did he hit the truck?
No, he took advice from Daniel Jones.
I think he tripped over his over the bushes. Let's see it again.
You know, that was my.
I don't think he tripped over. It looked like it, but it looked like he barely touched his foot, and somehow that lost momentum. I guess he was getting advice from Daniel Jones on how to trip over nothing. But
You know,
Did
that
you
was
say
my,
Daniel Jones?
that was my
Daniel
biggest
Jones.
concern. You know, that was my biggest concern when I was driving for Uber Eats briefly. That I might drop someone's food.
Oh, I bet.
bro, I almost did that when I had 8 pieces in my car, and then the people are like, "Oh, do you have a?" He's like, "Yeah, don't do it at night because if you make a mistake, half of the time it's either for some crazy old lady or it's for a mom with a bunch of kids. So if you drop it, just run away and deactivate your account. So therefore, you're good to go."
Or maybe it's someone like Trevor Williams, who's a college student who needs some late night food to study for finals, right, Trev?
Yep.
Oh, probably.
Late night college vibe.
That was my biggest fear: dropping someone's food.
Rightfully so, though, John. We have
See,
two
out of
more
all the dumber
bloopers,
ones-
fellas.
No, never mind.
We got 2 more bloopers. Next one, guys, is just called "Damn."
Video? Nah. Yeah, video. No, wait. 2, 1.
Okay. Which one was worse? The guy that jumped on the trash can and fell and won't give anyone grandkids, or the guy belly flopping from the top of a waterfall?
The first one, because imagine there's BB and there's something above that, which I think that's exactly what it is. Like that hurt any guy that's had an issue with that or getting hit or something thrown. That's more pain. Yeah, the belly flop hurts, but it's a belly. Clearly, you have plenty of it. It wasn't going to hurt him. But the first one definitely hurt more because that's not like a getting pinched on the hand. That hurts.
Trevor?
The first one. Just seeing the trash can tip, landing straight on a rail, and then you fall in. It's like you can't even stand. You're just curled up into a ball and you fall into the water and you're just gonna be there. It's way worse than a belly flop.
Isaiah?
Give me number one, because number one, it was so painful to watch, man. I mean, that guy's not going to have either kids or grandkids to deliver his family after that. My God. Plus, not only did he, not only does the guy trip or he does that thing with the pole, he falls into the river as well, or the lake or whatever it was.
Either way, that's oof. Couple of thoughts, guys. James says, oh, yeah, that one is my favorite. Being drunk and being by bodies of water does not mix well. Christy Wilson, the first one, because that had to hurt big time. Plus, he's jumping off of a trash can. Like, come on now.
Hopefully he didn't have to go to the hospital.
I hope not. We have one more, fellas, and it's called Let's Do That Hockey. Well, that just takes falling into a not totally frozen pond to new levels there, fellas.
Oh, for sure. Just like it was going all right, and then he fell, and then the ice broke. And thus he's now, has the potential of hypothermia.
And BB.
Isaiah, any thoughts?
I feel so bad for him because it, like Trevor said, it was going well, and he falls and then boom, the ice cracks. That's like a double whammy right there, man. Wow.
Oh man, Mr. Mathis.
Seeing that one, man, it reminds you of a cartoon. Like, it was just so cartoonish, but I feel sorry for that person because
his face just tells the whole story. Like,
his reaction, right? But you know what? His day is going so well. He's out there skating, playing some hockey, having a little bit of fun, and then the tragedy happens where he just falls right through the ice into frozen water. Oh my goodness.
James says, when bored in the Great North, Christy says, looks like he was going to score a goal when he fell in or something. Who knows what that may have been. With that, guys, we're going to get back into some of the Christmas festivities. We have our good friend Furman Lee joining us here, but Furman has to kind of go very quick here. But Furman, I understand that I believe you have a gift I think you want to open on air. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, I do. And I don't know, man. I've talked to you guys a lot about it, but everyone's been saying that their gifts came late and everything. But hey, I don't know what happened to mine, but like for some reason it came super early. I did not expect it at all. And whoever my secret Santa is, I just want to say thank you so much for the gift.
Can we get a visual?
Yeah.
Oh, I was hoping for a visual, but sadly that webcam needs to be connected. But we will, though, folks, with some of us who do, in fact, have our gifts, much like Furman, will open them up in just a few moments. With that, though, guys, while we wait for Furman, I guess we kind of can dive in, guys, to some of the actually we do have Furman back real quick. All right, Furman, let's see what you got, big fella.
All right, guys. Well, whoever gave me this gift, I gotta appreciate you for that. All right. Someone gave me a 3D nightlight.
Ooh.
So
Nice.
it is beautiful. So whoever sent this to me, I'm glad you recognize that I'm a Lakers fan. Well, it looks like there's also a letter in it, but I'm not actually sure if the Secret Santa is going to reveal themselves. But it looks amazing. I mean, I've got this charger, or I've got the ports, and I don't know. Is this a plug?
I don't know. That's pretty cool, though.
And yeah, I mean,
3D light, though. That's pretty awesome.
I can't wait to try this out later. I'm going to have to turn off the lights and give myself a quick preview, but I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's the Lakers logo, and they just won the championship. So thank you to whoever sent this to me. I can't wait to find out, actually, if they're actually.
I don't know. But first of all, is the Secret Santa part of this panel is my question. Going once. Going twice. 3 times. Okay, so Furman, your Secret Santa is not on the panel tonight.
All right, it's all good.
Deepens the mystery, so sadly, my friend. But either way, so a 3D nightlight, that's pretty cool. And it's got the Lakers logo on it. That's even better.
That's nice. I like that. I like that for myself, actually. I'm a Laker fan, too.
Isaiah, I think you want to say something. What's on your mind, buddy?
You're muted.
He's the Secret Santa, isn't he?
It's not me. It's not me. But I wanted to say that the Secret Santa is actually in here tonight. It's actually in here. Show yourself, Mr. Santa.
It's
Trevor.
me.
And here I am,
thanks,
like
Trevor.
Thing is the Secret Santa on the panel, and Trevor doesn't even unveil himself. So, courtesy of Trevor, there you go, buddy.
You were the first person in mind when I thought about this, so I actually kind of had a feeling it was you. But thanks so much for the Lakers gift, man. Big fan.
Oh, man, that is great. So, Furman, we thank you for dropping by, man, and we will see you after the Christmas holiday. We wish you and the fam all the best and a wonderful Christmas and holiday season. We'll see you next week.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks. I wish everybody happy holidays, including the crew and the fans.
All right, Furman Lee dropping by and showing off Trevor's gift and things of that caliber. And, yeah, great to kind of get that off the ground and running. With that, though, guys, as we all know, of course, the holiday season does bring friends and family together, much like sporting events do. But, of course, in times like this, though, where, again, it's been told, stay home, don't go out and do fun things this year. But more so, though, I think, though, guys, that there are probably a lot of bright spots, though, around the time of Christmas. And, of course, we think about maybe family traditions or Christmas traditions that we probably do, in fact, have. Like there's either certain recipes we have to have on Christmas Day. You know, we get up in the morning at a certain time. Trevor, is there anything special or any like notable traditions that you probably have or that your family has when, in fact, Christmas does roll around?
I would have to say Christmas dinner and having a nice smoked ham with some brown sugar and a nice glaze on it. So, you know, that Christmas ham is always a tradition at my house. Also, I want to say, I think it's just like just growing up and just opening that Christmas morning, running down the stairs and feeling all that excitement is still there. And then there's some years where when I was a lot younger, where I used to go with my friends, and sometimes we used to have a snow football game and doing the Christmas Bowl in that sense. So sometimes we don't have that like white Christmas, so it doesn't happen. And sometimes we just spend time with our family. But when we get a nice, good snow system, you know, we all get together, play a nice, good, you know, snow football game, and then go back to our presents and just have a good holiday, you know, in that day.
John Mathis, obviously your family is growing by +1. Hopefully by the new year sometime soon. We know that, of course, you and the fiance have been expecting for a majority of the year, if not for the past several months. And, of course, you know that there's traditions, I think, that we all have, whether, of course, it's hey, Lakers are playing at 5 o'clock or 7:30 on Christmas Day. You can pretty much take that to the bank every year. But more so, like Trevor said, though, ham for Christmas dinner or playing football games with your friends or stuff like that. Mr. Mathis, provide or let the viewers know any kind of traditions that maybe you have, you and the fiance have, or maybe more so you and the family have perhaps around Christmas Day.
Well, in our family, we used to have Christmas brunch every year. So we would have breakfast early in the morning, open our gifts every morning. That's something that I would look forward to as a kid, running down the stairs, because I live in a 2-story house, running down the stairs in the morning and going straight to the tree to grab my gifts from under the tree. And I would just open them and just light up just to see what I got as a gift that year. So that's usually the tradition for us. But lately, the last few years, it's been back and forth with me and my fiance family, my family, then we go to her family. Last year, I spent it with her family. We had Christmas together with her people, and it was nice. And we had a Christmas dinner because her family has Christmas dinner. And the past few years, I've been going to her family on Christmas Eve. So on Christmas Eve, I'll be with her family, and on Christmas Day, I'll be at home with my family, because that's when we usually do our traditional stuff on Christmas Day, not Christmas Eve. But her family goes all the way out on Christmas Eve, so we'll be over there. And I would participate in the Secret Santa, so I would always get one of her relatives who would buy a present for me, and then I would return the favor and get a gift for whoever I pulled in the Secret Santa drawing. So that's what we usually do on Christmas Day. And then basketball. Basketball is huge in this house because all of us are Laker fans. So, every year the Lakers play on Christmas Day. And, you open your presents in the morning, you eat breakfast, and you get ready for Laker basketball. And that's been a tradition for us every year on Christmas Day.
Alcorn, obviously, we heard from Trevor about, ham has to be served at Christmas dinner in the Williams house. The Mathis family goes between, John's family and his fiance's family. Of course, Laker games are on, and obviously there's NBA basketball being played. Of course, this year we get NFL football being played on Christmas Day this year. But Alcorn, how about the family traditions for the Alcorn household down there in Texas? What do you got?
We've done some different things. Sometimes one year we had Mexican, one year we had barbecue, one year we had Chinese. I think this year we're doing like hamburgers and fries and probably a couple of other things. I think despite me being 23, it's the same thing just like as a kid, Jonathan Mathis is no matter if I got anything or not, just getting up on Christmas morning just to see kind of how the decorations are and maybe see what's under the tree. I could be 50 or 80 years old or 100 or 200 or 2,000 years old. It's the same thing as if I was 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years old. I got probably in early elementary, there was one gift that obviously a lot of gifts have stood out, where obviously like we talked about video games. My mom's boss gave me my first console back in the day. What used to be his was a PlayStation 2. So just seeing the gifts over the years, again, it's not about gifts. It's not. But just having that joy as a kid, still at 23 years old, really isn't going to change. I tried to stay asleep past 8 to 9 o'clock, but my body's like 5:30, 6 o'clock. Nope, you're not going back to sleep. I don't care if you got 2 hours of sleep. It's Christmas Day. Too bad.
Very well said, John. With that, Isaiah, I think that you and I are probably in the same boat, though. More so for me, though, is that I happen to have family who's Vietnamese, and they probably don't do Christmas that much. They don't do it very often, but they, of course, have kind of done it, though, when they've been living here in San Diego. So it's like me and Mathis are the same, though. We spend it with my brother and sister-in-law, my niece and my newborn nephew now, courtesy of him coming in November of this year. But we go between, her parents' house and we host. We had, grandparents host. They sadly have passed away, though, over the past several years. And, of course, it's either, being around other family members who watch basketball. So we're up at 9 a.m. watching the first game of the day. And then we, of course, wait for the Laker game to come on when it's me and, my cousin-in-laws, brother-in-laws watching the Lakers play. We're all big diehard Laker fans, as you probably imagine. But I think, Isaiah, Trevor has the ham at dinner time. Mathis has, going between different houses. Plus, he also has plenty of other things going on with the Lakers. Alcorn, I like Alcorn, though. It's like a rotating buffet of food, though, every Christmas day, though, from, burgers and dogs to, Mexican food, Chinese food, you name it. But how about the Leung household, Isaiah? What goes on tradition-wise on Christmas Day or even Christmas Eve, for that matter, at your place up there in Fremont, good sir? Isaiah, you are muted, buddy.
Well, Callan, you guys know me. I am a wild person. I mean, I have so many wild takes on this network. What we do for Christmas is we drive to San Francisco and go swimming in the frozen, icy San Francisco Bay. That's what we do. No, I'm just kidding, because I don't want to get hypothermia. But what we basically do every Christmas is, it's kind of like what John and what Mathis and Trevor do, and that is just wake up and go to the couch and go to the tree and pull out whatever presents that you might have gotten, and then just reveal them to the entire family. And then we do that for, I think, about like an hour or an hour and a half, something like that. We just open presents, and we just we just open presents, and we just have family time there. And then pretty much at night, it's either like, it's kind of like what John does. It's like every year it's pretty different. One year we had turkey, I believe, for Christmas. The other year we had Indian food last year as well. And then this year, yours truly is going to be doing the cooking this year on Christmas. Like we have a huge ham. We bought a couple. Yes. Yours truly is going to be doing the
McDonald's
cooking.
doesn't count.
So if you guys go on my Facebook, if you're friends with me on Facebook, you're gonna see on Christmas morning, I'm gonna be posting a ton of pictures of me, doing the cooking. We told you guys earlier, we bought the ham, we got the pineapple today, we got the brown sugar, and I am going to be making the ham. I am going to be making the ham today. I'm going to be making the mashed potatoes. I am going to be cooking the entire Christmas dinner. So it's going to be like a nice twist here this season or this year for my family. And, when we have when normally during when my parents are cooking or when I am cooking, we have like the NBA games that are on. Most of the time it's either Lakers games or whatever games are on during the day. We just watch it. And then also like during the Christmas afternoon, what I would go is I would, before Christmas, I would always buy like a couple of packs of candy canes, and then I would just go out there and just deliver it to my neighbors. Obviously, I can't do that this year because of COVID, which is going to suck, because I love, handing out candy canes to either my neighbors or whoever else that I encounter during when I'm walking around, just giving candy canes and spreading the holiday spirit. But this year, we're not going to be passing them out. We're going to be mailing it. So Mathis, Alcorn, Trevor, Callan, I wasn't supposed to reveal this now, but I've actually mailed candy canes to each one of you guys.
You don't even have my address. How are you going to do that?
I haven't, no, not you and Mathis, but everybody that put their addresses on the Secret Santa list, I've mailed them candy canes.
You can buy them at Walgreens. What is it?
I'm just trying to spread the holiday spirit, man. I'm trying to. Christmas
just don't
is
put
all
your chip.
So yes, Callan, Trevor, John, Mathis, y'all are gonna be getting candy canes this year from me for Christmas, and probably like a little Christmas card as well. Expect that after Christmas, though.
I kind of figured it would be, unless it's already in my mailbox at the very front of the park I live in.
Just don't put your chip tooth on the candy can. I want that candy cane to turn green.
Oh my goodness. It's going to be probably like 2 weeks expired by the time it gets to San Diego from the Bay Area. With that, if anyone here partaking in the Secret Santa gifts has any gifts, let me, raise your hand. I think I'm the only one that probably does. Isaiah, no luck yet from your Secret Santa?
Nope.
He was just in this hangout or in this, on the stream tonight, and he hasn't sent you a GIF yet?
Nothing. I got nothing so far.
Mathis, you okay, buddy?
It's trust me, John. It's coming. It's coming.
Oh man.
They came.
Let me regain my composure. Oh. Isaiah, man. I don't know what we're gonna do with this guy.
Either that.
Mathis, I've said the same thing since July 29th. What in the world are we going to do with this guy in square 3 on screen?
That or McDonald's gift card is but you choose.
Hey, if the ham goes well, I might make all of y'all a ham and just ship it out.
Man, that thing is going to be like 4 weeks expired when that happens.
Bro, we'll definitely all need to be sponsored by Higgins after we eat that ham. I mean, I got massive explosive. I mean, my God, more than a Hawaii volcano during an erupting volcano season.
Wow.
That's going to smell worse than Jonathan Mass's daughter's first you-know-what diaper. So, I mean, my gosh.
So apparently I'm the only one who got a gift of some type. I don't know if this is Secret Santa or what. So I guess I'm the only one that has a box to open tonight. Yes, because nothing from Trevor, nothing for anyone else. Oh, Mathis, please don't suffocate yourself, buddy. See, that's the beauty about these multi-hour specials. They go on and on and on and on, and it just becomes phenomenal. They go off the rails. So apparently I'm the only one that got a Secret Santa gift this year, for right now at least. Again, Trevor, I'm sure yours is coming. Isaiah, I'm sure yours is coming. Mathis, Alcorn, who knows? But anyway, I already...
I hope I don't have a collapsed lung like Drew Brees did. Oh man, I felt so hard.
You may have to eat that ham.
I already opened it, sadly. I didn't take a look, though, but the box has been opened. But it's coming from Garden Grove, California, which is about an hour north of where I live, just south of like right on the border of Anaheim. I don't know who it's from. I had the packing receipt, but there's no card, there's no info, there's nothing. Just that it's a gift, but there's no name and nothing else going on. So I'm guessing it is my Secret Santa, whoever it may be. But let's see what we got here.
Yeah, sure.
Packing peanuts galore, fellas. I love it.
Oh, you need a swimming pool of packaging peanuts. That's the true dream.
Yeah, apparently. What a mess.
Food?
Is that a lunchbox?
It's not a lunch. I don't think it's a lunchbox.
Is it Pop-Tarts?
If it's a lunchbox and if it's Pop-Tarts, we know Isaiah sent it.
Isaiah,
I would not mind a box of Pop-Tarts, believe me.
Isaiah, you're the Secret Santa, aren't you? You just went into hiding like your Wi-Fi did the other night.
Ooh, shots being fired today.
I don't think it is. I made sure there's nothing else in there. It's just all the packing peanuts in there. But whoever it was got me a pretty cool little figurine of Padres shortstop Fernando Tatis Jr. to put on display somewhere in my bedroom. So pretty cool. It's one of only a few players who we got here. To turn the line on real quick. So we got Acuna Jr., Pete Alonso, Javi Baez. By the way, John, there's one of Bellinger and of Mookie Betts, in case you're wondering about these guys right here. Alex Bregman, Bryce Harper, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Tatis Jr., Trout, and Christian Yelich. So whoever it is, thank you very much. This will be on display somewhere in the in the room here, and maybe like sitting on the desk. Who knows if I can get it to work? But that's sadly, guys, I think the only gift we have to open tonight.
You
just wait until these come into the mail.
Do you know that's not good, Kevin, for your eyes to just be in the dark room with the computer, looking into the computer?
I'm used to it, sadly, so I'm used to it. Because sometimes if I had the light on it and I'm switching tabs to rate something, like I have like this giant like glow on my face, it looks terrible. So I've been used to this nature. But whoever sent this again, thank you very much. It'll be on display somewhere in the home office here at this rate. With that though, guys, if you have any drink,
he went to McDonald's again.
No, he makes himself a virgin pina colada. It's his inner.
Isaiah, where'd you go again?
You disappeared like you're 49. Oh wait, sorry.
Excuse me, my 49ers.
No, his 49 side.
Anyway, if we ever get Isaiah back on screen, we'll get to one of the last things we get to do before we sign off for the night and wrap things up here.
Really, Isaiah? Really? How do you do that? Are you related to Bucktooth Becky? I mean, my gosh, how are you doing that twice in a row?
Safety first. 1, 2, 3. Ah!
So you mean to tell me that Isaiah has more chipped teeth than I do? That's kind of sad.
Twice in less than 2 hours.
Twice in the same show, folks. He has chipped the tooth on a candy cane.
What? You chipped
the candy cane in your mouth?
Not even I do that, and I bite hard on a candy cane. And
Christy, I agree. Patrick Star is going to die from laughing too much during this part of the program here. Anyway, Isaiah, are you situated? Are you good? Are we able to move on to the last thing here before we get to final thoughts?
I feel like I'm gonna die on this show for laughing too hard. Remember the weasels from Roger Rabbit, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when they died for laughing too hard? That's what I feel like right now.
By the way, John Mathis, were you surprised that I said that Sword of Stone was my all-time favorite Disney movie today?
No, because it's one of my favorites.
I figured. Because I told that to Alcorn and Isaiah a couple nights ago that yes, that is my all-time favorite.
You like that movie too, right? Sword and Stone. No,
you've never watched Sword
and
bad. Stone,
dude. Hey, I don't want to hear about that. When you thought R2D2 was
your mouth, you don't know Star Wars.
Dude, you thought R2D2 was a British brand and C-3PO was a Golden Globe Award, so I don't want to hear nothing.
The Golden Globe Award.
He also thought R2D2 was from the movie what is
Wall-E.
Wall-E. His knowledge of Star Wars is like Nick Mullins being a starting quarterback.
Oh, Isaiah. How
did you just poop yourself?
I don't know what to say.
Did he break himself or did he, you know what, himself? If he did, turn off the camera. I mean, Merry Christmas to y'all, but it's only 10.
I think Mavis is ready. I think Mavis is ready to tap out for the night, but we're getting close though. He's tapping. Honestly, I would tap out too if I could. Isaiah,
knock on wood. You hear me?
Isaiah, can you please defend yourself? You're on mute, my friend.
Look at my background.
Reveal what happened? Should we reveal what happened last night with the entire Jackbox, Ewoks, R2D2 thing, or should we spare John? Because I think if we did that, John would go off the set and he would probably never be seen until the new year.
Alcorn, I think I'll let you handle this.
Okay, so we asked him multiple questions, Mathis. One of them was about Han Solo and there's Princess Leia. Was it Callan?
Yes.
He said, "Are they two married?" I was like, "Yeah, only in Mississippi." I mean, my gosh, I mean that would be what. And we also asked him about is it C-3PO or something. Dude, he's never watched Star Wars. Oh, he thought The Mandalorian was a romantic comedy show until a couple weeks ago.
A romantic comedy.
I'm not even kidding. He thought R2-D2 was a transformer.
Come on. John, the thing about the Jackbox thing that I was mentioning earlier was yesterday we were playing Jackbox with a bunch of my friends, and I was leading the entire game. I had gotten every question right. And what happened was in the final round of that game, I got asked 3 questions. One of the questions was, which one of these characters is a part of the new Star Wars movie? The 2 choices were Ewoks and R2-D2, and I picked Ewoks because I had heard from How I Met Your Mother about Ewoks. Because I had, like John said, I had never, ever watched a single Star Wars movie. I have never watched a single Star Wars movie, and the worst part about that is, John,
Robot Chicken.
You're gonna laugh even harder at this. I thought when R2-D2 the choice came out, I thought that R2-D2 was a British band. I thought it was like One Direction. I thought it was a British band.
Jonathan, that's why I had the nickname in the beginning of the show for the StreamYard. He thought Mandalorian was a romantic comedy show. I mean, until a couple weeks ago, bro.
Help me, I can't breathe.
Trevor's just like, what in the hell is going on?
Trevor, and we're not joking. Callan can vouch. We were there for about an hour. We were basically giving him a history lesson.
We were literally up to 1 o'clock in the morning trying to educate this man about Star Wars.
3 o'clock my time. But yeah, basically, there was another shoot. What was it about? These Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader? And he butchered it.
Either way, it was terrible.
Let me ask Isaiah one question. Do you at least know who the stormtrooper is?
Well, I do now after Callan and John spent yesterday.
Does he know what an X-Wing is? That's the most important question.
Isaiah, you know you could Google everything now, right? Before you come on air.
No, I know I could Google everything.
Callan had the Google search up the whole time for all the photos. One of Princess Leia, what's Princess Leia? I was like, no, dude, that would be considered what. Maybe in only Mississippi, but I mean.
It's okay. I mean, you'll find a few people that's in the minority, because a lot of people, some people don't like the same things we like, and some people are not Star Wars fans.
Trevor, Mathis, Alcorn, Christy, dude, I agree.
Okay, Christy, I had like a nerd cry in the end, and there was a bunch of confusion. Like, is this really happening, or what are you doing? You massive. I don't know.
James, I like this idea. I like this idea a lot right here and right now.
Isaiah loses again. Isaiah loses again. 10 games of losing. Isaiah loses again. Skull, 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 skull. Skull, 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 skull. Still keep on losing. Isaiah loses again. Isaiah loses again. Isaiah loses again. 10 games of losing, Isaiah loses again. He's worse than Stephen Wayne. He's worse than Stephen Wayne. Skills keep on losing. Skull, 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 skull.
Isaiah, I hope you know what this thing is, though, at least.
What is it?
I know what it is, but I don't know what it's called.
What is it?
Well, he knows what Despicable Me is if you looked at his shirt in that video.
Yes, I do.
What? Okay, Isaiah. I then asked him about not Mace Windu. He may know that one. There's another one I can't remember, but it was.
I just hope he knows what this thing in my hand is, though.
What is it
More
called?
than
Isaiah?
else.
He's looking it up.
Don't be cheating.
He's probably Googling something blue
What is
that
it?
lights up.
Thank
What
you,
is it,
Christy. A lightsaber.
That's only because you had audience help with saying Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Exactly. So if it wasn't
We are
for the
never doing
audience,
a Star Wars trivia
Maybe we
on
should-
network.
Maybe we should have gave him a hint and said it has something to do with a lifeguard and a candy. Because get it? Lifeguard, lifesaver, and there's a candy called Lifesaver. There you go.
Custom made, by the way. Thanks to the folks at Disneyland for that. I don't want to break this thing, so I will keep it in my lap
Yeah,
for the time being.
You paid $90 for that. The thing costs $90.
This was more like 200, buddy, on like the first week of Galaxy's Edge opening up in Anaheim. Yes.
The ones that we saw in Tomorrowland, they were like $90. No, Star Wars Land, they was like $90.
That one up there is the $90 one that I got before.
It has the high ground, Callan. It's over.
It does have the high ground, but they're both blue, so it doesn't matter.
That's too much, though. That's too much money.
I agree. With that, real quick, Shareable Steve from behind the scenes says, "Is Sword and Stone a Christmas movie?" Well,
No.
Mathis, I believe though that when the sword is pulled from the stone, it is on Christmas Day.
Is it really? I
believe it is.
Oh,
but was it based on Christmas time though? It's the thing.
No, because you could watch it all year round. It's not like The Nightmare Before Christmas or like
Or Home Alone.
or where Christmas is obvious. You know?
Elf, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, those kind of movies.
Yeah, those are obvious Christmas movies.
And Isaiah's probably thinking, what in the world are you guys talking about? With that, guys, I do want to kind of get ready to wrap things up. We've been here for almost 2.5 hours, but if you have a drink with you folks somewhere nearby, I advise that you perhaps crack it open. That includes the guys on the panel. Because I know that Alcorn already crushed his Bud Light earlier in the night.
I could use that as like a fake drink.
As a fake drink. Trevor, I'm sure you have something.
Yeah.
No, I got
Isaiah, where's
empty
that damn
water bottle.
colada at, buddy?
But,
Let's go.
We can toast with the train instead.
Hey, it's very, very Christmas orientated. Alcorn, what do you got next to you? You got you got a beer, you got whiskey. What do you got, my friend?
I wish I had some whiskey here. I'll be back in a minute. Y'all keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, it's right. I don't know. That is a very good point, though, from Steve, though, about Sword and Stone perhaps being a Christmas movie. Because I believe it happened on Christmas Day, I want to say, but perhaps. But, I mean, that's...
Well, Merlin did look like Santa Claus, so I guess you could say it has something to do with Christmas.
Maybe. You guys can put down your drinks for right now until John comes back with something to put down. Steven also says, Isaiah picking the Ewoks over R2-D2 is the biggest L of 2020.
Who said that?
Shareable Steve behind the scenes says that Isaiah picking the Ewoks over R2-D2 in Jackbox game is the biggest L of 2020.
Wait, what was the question again? Like, what was like a character that wasn't?
Apparently, Isaiah said the question was which character had appeared in a recent Star Wars movie. So recent would be Episode 9 last year, and Ewoks did not make an appearance in 2019. R2-D2 was there though.
Yeah. So I'm guessing he picked R2-D2 then, right?
He did. That's why he lost.
Gotcha.
I mean, he picked the Ewoks. That's why he lost. All right, Alcorn, what'd you find, buddy? Good man. With that, everybody, I would like to propose a toast on this December 23rd, 2020 to great friends, good health for all of us, and for the beauty of sports bringing the 5 of us on this panel and the other 5 guys that can't be here with Shareable Steve, Furman, Shree, Ryan, and Martin, who was here earlier. Props, guys, and again, a toast and cheers to hopefully what will be bigger and better things for not just us, but everyone else out there going through the ups and downs of 2020, and 2021 will be bigger and brighter for all of us. Cheers, fellas. Dilly dilly.
Choo choo.
I'm sorry, that train was just like.
Trevor,
it's still better than a virgin pina colada. I say it was made. That's okay.
It wasn't a pina colada, hot chocolate. That's what we're doing this time.
Very festive.
As long as it's not a white girl drink from Starbucks or something, then we're good to go.
Oh man. Anyway, folks, we'll wrap up our final program for before the Christmas break right now and go into tonight's final thoughts. All right, folks, time to wrap up on this Wednesday night before we move into the Christmas break. As you folks see across your screen, we'll be off air starting, folks, tomorrow, looking at the guy in Square 3, Mr. Leung. No programming starting tomorrow until the following Monday when we get back on air on the 28th at 7:30 p.m., though I'll be at work that day. But, of course, we'll still get back to work, though, on that Monday. Mr. Mathis, we'll start with you, man, for your final thoughts for tonight's show, my friend.
Guys, Merry Christmas to everyone out there. Happy holidays to each and every one of you guys. Stay safe, stay positive, and, let's bring in 2021 on a positive note, and all we can hope for is a better year moving forward, and put this horrible year behind us, even though we were able to find some positives in this year. Just like there are plenty of negatives, there's always a lot of positives. So always look at the positives and try not to focus too much on the negatives. And I want to thank our viewers out there for tuning in tonight. You guys are wonderful, and I would love to wish you guys a happy holidays as well. Merry Christmas. You guys are wonderful. You guys are great. You guys are very supportive of our show. And I want to thank each and every single one of you. And I want to thank this panel as well, because without you guys, it's possible as well. You guys are great. You guys inspire me to be better. And I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. You guys are awesome. Keep doing what you guys do. The only way to go is up. And the sky is the limit. And if you guys continue to work hard, you guys can accomplish anything you guys want in life. You just got to keep chasing for it and go get it. And if it's something you want, and if it's something that you feel is for you, then pursue it and do it. Those are my final thoughts. And you guys have a Merry Christmas, all of you guys. And that's it.
Very well said, John. And again, wishing you and the family all the best as we move into the Christmas holiday. Trevor, over to you. I know it's getting late there, my friend, back in Pennsylvania, but of course, we thank you for hanging out here and for sticking through it, and also checking out our bloopers of the week segment. But also, man, though we've gone off the rails here, but again, Trev, any final thoughts to pass along, my friend? What do you got?
Hey, this is just pre-gaming for New Year's. That's all I got to say in most of the cases. It's getting close to that 2 a.m. mark. I think it's 1:42 right now for me. But, I want to go back to why I brought the train on. The beauty about this train, it's Southern Pacific, so it's out for all you California people. It's the daylight special, so it used to run on the southern coast of California. So that's why I brought the train on, to represent California, though I'm not there. But, it has been a fantastic year with you guys on the MI6. I know it's sort of like on that end of the year spiel, but also, happy holidays. Thank you guys for being a part of the MI6. It wouldn't be the same without you guys. And it's been one, I guess, crazy ride, but at the same time, it's been fun. But let's, like I brought the train on. Let's get on the hype train for 2021 for the MI6 network. We're going to do great and big things and hope, grow this network to get more people excited about and even more fans. So just get aboard this hype train and let's keep rolling, guys.
Yeah, train kept a rolling is definitely the motto for next year. Mr. Alcorn, over to you, man, for your final thoughts tonight.
I know Jonathan say it's been probably a terrible year for a lot of people. And yes, I think that definitely sucks. But for me, it's been a great year refiguring out my faith. And literally back in February, March, I just sent a message to a Facebook group. And then now in August, now we're talking after the show or before the show and having these 2 to 3 hour shows, or like Cal and I were doing last night. That, to me, I would rather do that than go into the sports industry and make $80 million or $20 million. I think this year has been crazy. There's no doubt in my mind. Ladies and gentlemen, I used to work with children, and then now I'm doing actually what I like. Like, actually wanted to do this every single day. I never thought I would have met Carson Palmer. I never would have thought, obviously not in person because different state, but me like Rob Parker and all these other people, Brian Finley, hopefully Grant, come on. But no, he's a good dude. But just meeting all of these people has been very interesting, and to realize, like John has said before, none of the other things in this world matters, because when we're dead, we're dead. They're not going to remember how much flipping money you made. This is right here what we have with the network is what we're going to remember. Not who made the most money, not who made the most views. This year has been crazy, but I wouldn't trade it for anything, because 10 months, if y'all ever knew me in the past, I didn't work hard. I was lazy. I had an attitude. I used to cuss out my teachers in high school, but it's definitely been a blessing of a year, and just saying Merry Christmas.
Thanks again, John Alcorn. Again, we look forward to that debut of the one-man show next in 2 weeks on Thursday, January 7th, coming up at 9:30 Pacific time here on the MI6 Sports Network. Isaiah, we heard from one co-founder of the network, and Trevor, how about some final thoughts from you as we close this chapter and get ready to enjoy some time away for Christmas, and we get back to work next week?
Yeah, Callum, before I get into my final thoughts, I want to, take a moment to thank our viewers, Christy Wilson, James Gonzalez, as well as, let's see, Henry G, Espen Correll, and Stephen Wang for tuning into our show tonight. You guys are truly amazing fans, especially, Christy, James, Casey, Tyler Work, and Angel. You guys really tune in every single program. It doesn't matter if we're talking sports or not. You guys will still tune in, and you guys are just so amazing. And I want to thank you guys so much for being such dedicated fans of the MI6 Sports Network, truly being the top fans of this network. So my final thought, before I get into my final thoughts, I also want to say I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday. But my final thoughts is, I want to echo what John Alcorn had to say. This year has been a very crazy year, filled with a lot of unfortunate stuff. A lot of bad stuff happened. But, I tend to look at the positives of things. And, I would say this. If this year didn't happen, I would still be on that, path where I would just don't know what I want to do with my life. And, this year has been a blessing in disguise and helping me find what I really want to truly do in life, not just now, but in the future as well, So I'm very grateful for that. I'm very, very grateful for meeting all these amazing people here on the MI6 Sports Network. Callan, you and John, when you guys first came aboard this network, it was very, very, like, the network was only, I think, at 1,100 likes. I might be wrong on that, but ever since you guys came on, we've gotten like record high viewership. We've gotten, so we've got like over 4,300 likes now. Anchor, I think, is at 2,600. I might be wrong with the exact number, but it's really up there. It's just been a huge success ever since you and John jumped on Wild Sports Talk. Is an amazing show, and I can't wait to continue it. Trevor, being that sixth man off the bench, always coming through when we need you to the most. Really appreciate you. John, I know me and you disagree all the time, but hey, at the end of the day, it's all love, fan, and I can't wait for that one-man show, and I can't wait for fan response between you and Steven and Ryan. It's going to be a phenomenal show. And with fans calling in, you better believe that I'm going to be busting those phone lines of your guys' and spewing some controversial stuff. So be ready for that. But I also want to thank Martin as well for creating the website. It's an amazing website where we can put a lot of our content there. And Ryan for handling me and Shri as well. You know, everybody.
All of us.
and the MI6 rolls on.
Just the nature of the whole thing. James Gonzalez, guys, writes in a very, very awesome comment here. This network and its shows was definitely one of the daily highlights of my year. Thank you for all of you, and thankful for all of us for being here and stuff of that caliber. That again, I think just mainly, to kind of echo Alcorn's thoughts more so, is that is what truly matters the most in my mind, is again a thing we're doing that we're not getting paid for. But if we can, you know, pop on your timeline somewhere on Facebook, or we pop up on your podcast app, or you find a program scouring Facebook or scouring YouTube and you happen to find the stream, and if we're able to, you know, kind of in a way lift your spirits during a very bad day perhaps that you have been going through, if you're a sports fan and we have perhaps hopefully done our job to our best or our full potential, that's what to me matters the most. But we'll go back to Isaiah to see if he can add on to his thoughts. Isaiah, can you hear us?
Yeah, Callan, thank you so much. My internet is just so sorry. I can't believe it dropped as I was giving that great tribute. But, you know, I'm going to keep it short because I know my internet's probably going to crash again. So I just want to say, you know, every member here on the MI6 Sports Network, we really love you. We appreciate all of your work that you guys are doing here. And each one of you guys have a very important role in keeping this network and making it what it is. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this network. And yeah, I can't wait for the new year and can't wait for the new revamped lineup that we have. And let's get this network to hopefully before the new year, let's get it to 3,000 anchor listens. So, you know, come on, guys, get those anchor listens up. Play it every single night. Let's get it to 3,000 listens before the start of the new year.
Let's definitely do it. I mean, I think it's doable. There's a chance we probably could do it, and we will go from there at this rate. Before, folks, I get further into my final thoughts, I want to announce that the results are in for tonight's final second-round matchup of our 31 Days of Hot Takes Challenge. Trevor Williams knocks out Isaiah to move on to the Elite Eight. So, folks, beginning on Thursday, we will begin the Elite Eight round. We are going into round 3 of 4 right now for the MI6's 31 Days of Hot Takes Challenges. Trevor wins 4 votes to 2 to set up the final 8 participants in the ongoing deliberation that is the ongoing 31 Days of Hot Takes Challenge. Also, folks, before I, in fact, give my final thoughts a bit further in depth here real quick, as a reminder, no programming as of tomorrow on Thursday up until Sunday. We will resume operation coming up, though, on December 28th. And then, as Trevor hinted at, though, the New Year's Eve extravaganza, guys, the 6-hour special that will take the air at 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern, featuring John Alcorn, Trevor Williams, and the rest of our East Coast crew from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock Pacific time. Then the West Coast crew will come on from 9 o'clock to midnight, and we will ring in the new year for you folks 2 separate times on the MI6 Sports Network coming your way on New Year's Eve, getting underway at, as mentioned, 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern. Before I still give my final thoughts, we'll go back to Isaiah real quick for one more announcement.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick announcement that on Wednesday, December 30th, a day before our New Year's Eve extravaganza, me, John Mathis, and Trevor Williams, as well as John Alcorn, we are going to be having Gilbert Manzano from the Orange County Register. He is the Los Angeles Chargers beat writer. He will be coming. What? Oh my God! He will be coming on our show to talk about all things Chargers related. So make sure you guys Yeah, so make sure you guys tune in for that interview as we will be getting into Justin Herbert and the Chargers and Anthony Lynn's future with the Chargers.
So again, folks, a couple of guests coming up, though. But as a reminder, programming will in fact resume, though, on December 28th. And then we'll have the special guest from the OCR joining us on Wednesday. But also, folks, as a reminder, though, too, and this is a very big one, though, as well. We've already been advertising things, but a new network revamped and reshuffled lineup takes the air on January 4th, coming up in 2 weeks' time, post the New Year's Day festivities. And after the weekend of being away for the New Year's celebration, as a reminder, but WST will stay in its usual Monday and Wednesday time slots with my solo program, The Sports Lounge, at 8 o'clock every Tuesday. John will have the one-man show at 9:30 every Thursday. Then, of course, Trevor, myself, Isaiah, and Furman on No BS on Friday nights. And then Fan Response returns on a Saturday afternoon roll at 5 in the afternoon, taking your live viewer calls on the air. And then, of course, Isaiah, Alcorn, and myself will be doing the night shift on Saturdays and Sundays now, starting January 4th at 10 o'clock in the evening Pacific time. With that, though, folks, again, final thoughts for me here this evening. As I've already said, though, folks, a little bit, though, is more so to James's point, though, about the network and the shows definitely being a daily highlight of someone's year. And again, thanks to all of us, is that, folks, is what matters the most to all of us. Is like, to echo John Alcorn's statement, though, that, again, all of us are here not being paid, but to try our best to bring you sports, but also hopefully in a way bring you some type of positive feel or positivity in your daily routine, because we know that the last 10 months have been an absolute, dreadful time for all of us in regards to, no work, little work, not a lot of work, no money, little money going across the board, though. And I've been able to, obviously, at least for me, get back to work, though, but still at least stay here, though, and host programs when I can on the MI6 Sports Network. But with that, though, folks, again, we wish you all a very Merry Christmas, a happy holiday season again. But, of course, be safe and be healthy as you, in fact, navigate the course of the upcoming week of festivities. Also, before I go, I'd be remiss, though, but if you probably heard me very back at the start of this program, quote, House of Pains jump around at the start of this program about 2 hours and 40 plus minutes ago. Wanted to wish a very happy birthday to a great friend and colleague of mine. That is my great friend, DJ Shauner Nichols, the in-house DJ for the Milwaukee Bucks of the NBA, who celebrated her birthday on this Wednesday. Again, I wrote a very nice little thing to her on the gram today. But again, Shauna, hopefully you and the family are doing great. And again, I wish you all the best, and wish you and everyone working in the NBA a very fun and healthy season, as in fact the time does in fact move on for the NBA season. And also, real quick from behind the scenes, the network says we need to have a bar built into the sports lounge. I don't know where I can build one, though. It's the only problem. And no, Isaiah, no pina coladas. Plenty of Bud Light,
or
though.
Virgin.
None of those
Mai Tai Bullhog things, I say, either. You got to have something that.
But with that, folks, I can tell that John Mavis is that Mr. Mavis is ready to call it a night, as is Trevor Williams. But however, though, John Alcorn and I are still enjoying some Bud Light on this Wednesday night. But with that, folks, again, please, folks, have a very fun, happy, and safe and healthy Christmas season. Again, we'll see you folks back here Monday, December 28th, to get back on track at 7:30 in the evening Pacific Standard Time, again with WST, with myself, Isaiah, and John Mappis. Actually, won't be there on Monday, so I'll see you on Tuesday because I'll be at work on Monday. But with that, folks, for John Mathis, Isaiah Leung, Trevor Williams, John Alcorn, and the entire cast and crew of the MI6 Sports Network, this is yours truly, Cal McClurg, saying goodnight here from San Diego, California. And once more, folks, we wish you a very fun, safe, and healthy, and hopefully memorable holiday season in 2020. With that, though, folks, we'll leave you with one of our network jib jabs made for the Halloween or the holiday season, folks. Till next Monday, happy holidays and Merry Christmas, and good night. Bye-bye.